plan, oh grand and true, to bring back a custom just for you, a dowry's charm to rekindle the fire, oh grand and true, to bring back in a world where romance might expire.
All right. Uh-oh, it's playing twice. I hate it when that happens. There we go. Darn it.
Bring back the dowries. Let's make it clear, a token of love.
Luke, sir, welcome in. Thanks for showing up. It might just be us tonight. And we'll see. I don't blame the folks for not being able to show up, man, because it is not Saturday. And my schedule was just all over the place. So, hey, man, if you're the only one here, then that's enough for me to have a show going. We'll let the songs go for a bit and see if anybody else shows up. Hope the week's been going well for you, man. I'm just glad it's Friday, even though I am going to work tomorrow. And I'm like kind of tired, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm kind of tired today, but we're still gonna have a good time. I might just be a little like, you know, we're gonna take it a little bit more lax today. How about that? Even though it's always kind of lax, it's gonna be lax times 1.5. Dan the man, great to see you, bro. Appreciate y'all. Well, we'll welcome whoever that comes. Absolutely. Absolutely, we will. We got Dan the man. Trevor, thank you for the donation, man. More than I deserve. Hey, Shah, sorry for missing the last few live streams. Been using the weekends to detox from the internet and touch grass. How are you doing? Like, hey, man, you know, you don't even got to apologize for that. I'm glad that that's the case for you, man. And I really hope that you've enjoyed those past few weekends just going outside. I want that for you, you know? I'd like to think the stream is not going anywhere. God help us, you know? So hope you had fun going out there. You met some interesting folks. You tried some new food. You went to some stores you never went into before. Maybe you took out your camera phone and you took some pictures of things that you noticed. And then you kind of developed a love for photography after that. And you're like, man, you know, what if I had a digital camera that could shoot in RAW? And then I had like Adobe Lightroom on my computer. What kind of photos could I make, you know? So that's awesome, man. That just sounds beautiful. Yo, Raymond, man, I'm sorry, bro. It's a blessing to see you. Always a blessing to have Raymond with us. Raymond, actually, I was on Raymond's live stream, and he said he's going to be getting into retro gaming. Bro, I have not stopped out here, man. I got my PS2, I got my GameCube, I got my Wii, I got my PS3, and it's all just stuff that was sitting around for years. I mean, except the Wii. My buddy gave me that. Shout out to him for that. Bro, if you get a PS2, also, you can mod it, man, and you can get, like, you know, all the games or whatever if you don't want to have to sit here and fight through eBay. Let me get this one going. So, the GoldenEye challenge. Bro, I remember when GoldenEye came out, and I remember going over to people's houses and the 4-player multiplayer. And then there was the Golden Gun. I was not good at the game, but I remember how much everybody loved the multiplayer. Got the house, the truck. Yo, Don DeMarco, shout out, man. It ain't Saturday. I know, man. It's not. My buddy's got a birthday dinner tomorrow. Actually, what's crazy is, like, I have other stuff to do, and I was pretty sure I was going to make it home, and you guys were going to get 2 streams. And then, like, I just had this whole thing, but so now my buddy's birthday dinner is going to be on Saturday. We're going to a Brazilian barbecue place. But yeah, so that's kind of that's why we absolutely got to do a stream tonight, because tomorrow I'm not going to be home, you know. So yeah, man, I really have such a I have such a bias against any kind of buffet. And you know, I've been to some okay Brazilian places. I've been to some good. I went to one in Canada that was pretty good. But like buffets really go against my life philosophy and value system around food, you know. I just don't believe in stuffing my face till my stomach hurts, you know. So like anytime you go into a buffet, everyone's trying to like basically do that. Otherwise, it's like, why go to a buffet? Just go to a normal place. And then I have a huge bias against any food from outside, so there's that. But I don't know. But you know, it's my buddy's birthday dinner. Shout out to him. And that's where he wants to go, and that's where we're taking him. So yeah. I just hope they have a good bottom sirloin. That's all I like to get from Brazilian barbecue places is bottom sirloin. Well done. Oh, Grabs Friday. I know. Happy Friday to the folks out there, man. I had a pretty long week, bro. It was pretty... I had a long week, man. I even got like 38 feet of my fence replaced while I was working. So yeah, it was a long week for me. Rebecca Black. Man, I don't even know who Rebecca Black is. Let me look that up. Sounds familiar, though. Oh, okay, we got a singer-songwriter. Man, I got a feeling this might be Raymond's... Oh, no, what did I do? This might be Raymond's type right here. I mean, I like the black hair. Is this you right here, Raymond? This is the Raymond... The Raymond ideal. Okay, well, shout out to you, man. Rebecca Black. Okay, he's got the heart right there. All right, yeah, well, hey, man, you got good taste. You got good taste in the ladies there. Luke says, nah, you don't have a life outside of streaming. We're glad for you, bro. I do want to make more stuff, man. The last standalone didn't do bad. I'm starting to settle into my new routine because I got, like, other work stuff going on. So all that stuff's starting to, like, I'm starting to figure out what my life is looking like with that. And, man, I'm really tempted to listen to another song again. You know what? Let's see what we got in the old dowry folder here. It's probably going to start off really loud. Well, maybe we can get one more song going for the folks, you know? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, we don't need any of this random music. Now, where is my songs? We got Dowry Revival, Dowry Dreams. No, those are just other songs I can't play. What's Dowry Dream? Okay, this is one of the classic songs. Let me just try one more. Dowry Revival. Oh, yeah, this one was kind of cool. Oh, yeah, we also got Luke Nielsen's music. What am I talking about? Nice. We'll play that quietly in the background. That'll give us a little bit more time. I think it's just going to be us tonight, guys, which is completely fine with me. Honestly, I really don't. I ain't tripping, you know. Shah's getting a Brazilian. I went on a few dates with the Brazilian woman once. You got to stay streaming, bro. Exactly. Exactly. Don't focus on the girl. You got to stay streaming. Man, Dontavius is the best. Yo, this song's actually pretty good right here. Dude, I'm sorry, guys, that I haven't posted the songs. Okay, I'm going to post the songs. I'm gonna make the Gold Pill album playlist is coming. I promise. I don't like overeating either. I don't usually eat out. The boys and I cook our own food. That's how I do it too. I mean, I cook for myself every day, and it's just the most efficient way to live, you know. Now, every now and then going out. Dowry Up in Here by DMX. Oh my god, I remember DMX. Going out every now and then is cool, but like for the most part, man, the efficiency of cooking at home and then like having more time to do whatever like things I want to do or work on, and then it's healthier. She sings Friday. Oh, no way. Okay, I think I know what Friday song you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I can use this opportunity to just go over what we're supposed to be going over tonight. We're going over this. Listen, again, I don't I don't want to oversell this to you. This might be one of the things where, like, it's 2 hours and 37 minutes, and we're not going to make it that far. Sorry. But we'll probably watch like 40 minutes of this, and I'm trying to go into it with an open mind because I am kind of biased against this guy for one clip that I saw in like 2019 that made me extremely suspicious of him. 2020 or something. This was back when I used to stream on Twitch. And I really don't know if they're gonna have much. I mean, it got 90,000 likes. You know what I'm saying? So we'll go over some of this, you know. How to find love. I don't know. Why couples get comfortable and have less sex. Man, I saw something interesting on Twitter recently. Let me pull that up. I saw like 2 things on the feed, and again, you know, if it's Twitter, oh my God, I immediately opened up Twitter and I saw a post from Raymond, and it's like a screenshot of him having a Hinge conversation. And I hella want to pull it up, but I don't want to pull it up because if I don't have Raymond's blessing to do that, you know. If I don't have Raymond's blessings to do that, then I won't do that, you know. Don't worry, Raymond. But it's so funny. It's so funny. It's literally like Raymond got a Hinge match, which is tight. Let me go ahead and heart that. And then it's like it's Raymond having a conversation. Oh no, it's so bad. Oh my God, Raymond, I'm sorry. Oh no, this is sad. Oh my God. Oh no. All right, let me just pull up my other 2 bookmarks. That is not good. I could pull up some of this Lila Rose stuff too. I mean, but you know, I think you guys probably seen like 20 videos on that clip of her saying that the guys don't need coitus normally. Okay, you know, I'll probably pull this up by Paul Elam also. All right, first order of business. Let's go over what's going on with Raymond here. Okay, so hey, Raymond matched with the Kylie. Hi, my name is Kylie. That's that sound effect from Coach. All right, so be direct, bro. Uh-oh, this might even be a implication of something I may have said in the past. By the way, this is the first match I've gotten in months on Hinge. She had a prompt come up as soon as I opened it that said, "Don't be weird." Yeah, you know, that's the type of stuff that's like, I get how that can be like not like that bad, but it's also a little disappointing to see that as the first thing you see, because it's just like, it just kind of shows like maybe she's coming at this from a negative point of view, or that she's already like just does not have a good positive sense of this. And it's just like, I don't know, it just ain't. Don't be weird. Okay. That's what the only if you promise to means. Okay, so she had a prompt that said, "Don't be weird." And Raymond chose to respond to the prompt. And he was just like, "Kylie, only if you promise to." And she's like, "Huh?" You know what I'm saying? I wish I can zoom into this. I don't think I can. And then he's like, "You said don't be weird." Oh. All right, when are we meeting? Never. Oh my God. She was a dog too. Oh man. Oh man. I'm sorry, man. Where are we at here? Huh, that's weird. Sorry, let me just restart my Twidget. I can see your guys' chats coming in, but like the chats aren't coming in on my like pull them up. Oh my God, the tab crashed. What the hell? That's weird. When I stopped this, it killed the whole thing. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let me just bring the chat back up. I've never actually stopped that thing midstream, so it really may have caused some issues. Widget. I don't know why it just wasn't bringing it up, but let's go and give that a shot. We don't stop out here. Even if our chat display goes down. God, please load. Okay, there it is. There it is. All right, now it's got all the chats up. All right, well, that was worth it. Let me make sure my other ones are working. Okay, weird. All right. Well, she was a dog too. All right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and you know, you probably just saved yourself a bunch of time. It's unfortunate. This probably could have gone differently. Hopefully you guys can see me. Sounds like iTrevor's having some trouble. Stream buffering, anyone else? But you know, yeah, like Raymond, you're gonna have to come to this with like basically like, you know, coming up with some BS. Let me tell you, man, the next time you get a match, just try like a cheesy pickup line and see if it works. I'm going to type the pickup line into the chat. Why didn't... It's really a dad joke, not even a pickup line. Why didn't the monster like to eat ghosts? Okay, and I have said this to plenty of women, and it has started conversations for me. If anybody has the answer to this, please don't Google it. Why didn't the monster like to eat ghosts? Stream's good? Okay, legit. All right, I'm just going to give you the answer right now. I'm going to give you the answer. Okay. The answer is because they taste like sheet. Okay? And just open it up with that, and I mean, you will probably get further. You know what I'm saying? I don't really even think this was that bad. You know, I just think she really probably doesn't even remember what the hell she put on there because it's so stupid. It's like so stupid and thoughtless and like low effort. But of course, women, most of the time, their dating profiles are very low effort anyways, you know? So, you know, whatever, man. It ain't nothing, man. Let me just pull up Dontavius real quick. Dontavius is going to tell us exactly what to do about this. Where the hell are my bookmarks? Or where's my saved? Okay, yeah. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I think I just got to type in Stay Gaming. There we go. Stay Gaming Daily. It's literally the same video every day. Literally the same video every day.
Yo, Dontavius.
Yeah.
What's today's card of the day?
You gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
That's it, man. Just keep swiping. I know you're going to get more matches, bro. And that makes me really hyped up. I've been enjoying, you know, Raymond's. If you guys are on X, man, please give Raymond a follow. Please give Raymond a follow. All right. In other news, hold on, let me just go over chat real quick. Stream is good to get to the other side. Shots to Chad, that's why it worked. I swear to God, man, I got to deal with a lot of the same BS too. I just keep going. Like after a while, man, it all just is not like. There's probably some stuff people can say to hurt my feelings, definitely. But after, you know, enough of this, it's just not really like. I just keep going, man. I just keep Energizer bunnying my way through all this. Yo, Timmy, hey man, welcome in, bro. For God's sakes, man, never kiss a woman's ass. Men are kings. Thank you, man. Thank you for that. I do like dad jokes. Yeah, man. Like I have said that. Like that's a great Halloween seasonal joke right there. And I used to just sit there and just put like that would just be my opener for like a lot of matches that I got. And it started a lot of conversations. Like surprisingly, it was all right. You know what I mean? So like that was enough because then they'll want to know, you know, and then if you can kind of get it going from there. Dontavius knows the score, absolutely. But he needs to be educated on the dowry. Your dowry, it's my right.
Dowry.
I know. How did we get 18 minutes into this and not play that? Stupid autocorrect. I don't even try talking to anyone. I intimidate people usually. Yeah, I mean, I really think you know, this is, I'm not, you know, I don't think I'm qualified to give advice here, but I really think I have this thing that I tell myself about, like I keep telling myself, like use the right hemisphere method, which is something that I just made up. And it's just, if everything is in order and everything is fine, you have to introduce a little bit of chaos into the conversation with her. You know what I mean? Like pickup lines work because they're not literal so much. You know, it's a little bit of metaphor, symbolism, and a play on words. That's all like right hemisphere stuff, you know, and it just kind of is interesting and unexpected, and that can get something going, right? So like the video, man. Hey, Mr. Pitt, thanks for being here, man. I know it's Friday. I'm just glad you guys are here, man. This is enough, like, for a stream, frankly. Even just, like, one of you guys, two of you guys is enough to keep going. I'm getting chicks inviting me to church. Nope. Yeah, I mean, like, you mean like on a date, like as a first date, or are these like women that you've known for a while? And well, if you've known them for a while, maybe it'd be different. Raymond says, Shah, this all works because you're attractive. Stop. Yo, Raymond, dude, I bought something in anticipation for our next stream, but I'm just going to show it to you now. And it's probably best that I show it to you now because I shouldn't surprise you with this. Just give me 1 second. And I literally hid it like under my couch here. All right, I'll be right back. Okay. For our next stream together, I was going to show up and I was just going to be wearing these two things. Hold on a second. Heck yeah, man. Now we're doing a freaking unboxing video. This is tight. See, man, that's the kind of streamer I want to be. Like, I want to be doing every kind of thing any streamer does all the time. I want to be like a jack of all streamers. Okay, so I have this, bro. I have like a literal bald cap that is the same skin color as Raymond. All right? And then I have these because I'm trying to get into the mind of Raymond. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to understand where Raymond's coming from. And I can't do that unless, like, I quite literally step into Raymond's world. You know what I mean? And I put this on and I cover the hair. And like, I thought about making a vlog where I have the Raymond glasses and, you know, the Raymond style and just go around and think, huh, like how is my life going? Like, did the person at the cashier, like, are they looking at me different? You know what I mean? So I was gonna match you on your stream and just be like, hey man. So maybe we'll do that and we can get two Raymonds on a stream. Raymond has a line of bald caps. So I have my pair of Raymond glasses that Raymond has made cool and stylish now. Because of Raymond's amazing YouTube meteoric rise, these glasses are now cool. And these will exist here until my next co-stream with Raymond. And also my bald cap. So that's coming soon for the folks out here. Don't worry, Raymond. Girls in coffee shops trying to Christian date. I mean, I think you see a lot of that on dating apps. You know, I've been swiping around and I see a lot of that where it seems like there's more people purporting to be religious. I don't know. I've noticed that at least. Maybe I'm wrong. It does seem that way for me, but you know, it just seems like people making the right noises. Oh Lord, now we have to do it. We have to do it, bro. We don't stop out here. Like that guy on Dr. Phil. Raymond has a line of bald caps. Yeah, Raymond, I think, like I said, man, you know, I've been taking what you said to heart. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know, Raymond's right. I can't truly understand Raymond until I've lived Raymond, you know, and walked a mile in Raymond's glasses and shoes there. You know what I'm saying? Too funny. That's awesome. Trying to, absolutely. I've had that sitting there for like a month now, by the way, just so you know. And bald dudes can look good too. Absolutely. Bald dudes can have some straight swag. Oh crap. That's my story for the next one. I have a full head of hair, but I shave my head every couple months. That's not a bad way to go about it. I just got a haircut yesterday. Some guys, even though they have a full head of hair, like they really pull off the bald thing weirdly. It's just like, I know a couple guys like that. Skin color may be a little off for the ball cap. Yeah, I know that's probably not gonna. I did want to think about that, but you're the man. Yo, username, man, welcome in, brother. Thank you for that, man. That makes me feel good, bro. Miss Pitt says, when you don't know what to do with the woman, just listen to Dontavius. Exactly, bro. I believe in Raymond, man. Okay, unrelated, half of men under 30 are virgins. Now, I don't know where this... Oh, that's the Washington Post. All right, so from 2008, bro, that's when I graduated high school. That's the recession right there. It's like, I don't even know if I really even believe these numbers, man. So really only 8% of guys under 30, from 18 to 30, were virgins in 2008. Does that sound right to you guys? I don't know. Let me put a poll up on this and see if you guys actually believe the numbers. Do you believe the numbers here about the virginity? There's a second one I got for you next. I mean, it just is really weird right there. I am a very attractive man. Absolutely. Yes, you are. You are absolutely attractive. So just so that is it. That really is it right there. And those are the ones who are willing to admit it. I lost it at 17. Yeah, I mean, well, Raymond, you and I are pretty similarly aged, so like this would have been us graduating high school. Now, that was not true for me. I did not start dating until much later. I was around here-ish right here. So, yes, the numbers are, but damn, like, I mean, sorry to cuss, but 50%? I gotta try to find this article online. It just sounds kind of like insane, you know. Washington Post. It'll probably be behind a paywall. Dang it. Young men, virgins increasing. Okay. That's March. No, that can't be it. That's March 2019, and they're showing us a freaking graph from, well, I don't know where it is. Whatever. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not able to pull it up. It's not looking good. Unless this is just some fake Twitter stuff. People will make stuff up. Young male virginity on the rise. On the rise. I still can't find it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be fake, you know. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, I just thought that was kind of crazy. Like, I don't even know if I believe that it was as low as 10% because it feels like unreal to me. Like, is that really what it was like back then? And then, you know, it climbs up to 27% here in 2018. Okay. I mean, this is pretty much dating apps right here. That's dating apps. And then it goes up to 50%. So interesting. And then in other news, we got testosterone is down 30%. Okay, so here's testosterone. 2008 is somewhere around here. And apparently that is going down. I mean, I know sperm count was going down and it was going down, but that might explain the first graph to some extent. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's our bad news of the day. I'm sorry, everybody. That's where we're at. But that's why we cook at home for ourselves, you know? And that's why, you know, we're out here and we're walking. We're going on walks after work and we're doing push-ups in the park. You know what I mean? And we're taking our shirt off while we're on the walk so some of those sun rays can hit you and just really penetrate into your guts. I don't know if that's how it works biologically, but that's how it feels to me. It's like, oh man, get them sun rays in my kidneys right there. It feels real nice. And, you know, we're out here, we're doing things, man. We're working on stuff. We're doing creative things. We're reading books. Now, if any of that helps testosterone, I don't know, but, you know, maybe. Let's see what this poll says real quick. End poll. Yo, Brutman, welcome in. I see you there. We're going to go over your comment here real soon. 77% say they believe the numbers. All right. Well, okay. The numbers are climbing, says Don DeMarco. I was a virgin until I was married at 23. Man, married at 23. I know like a few people. I know like one guy who was married around 25. And then another guy, I think, I don't know if I know anybody who was married earlier than 25, man. Shout out to you, bro. Yeah, life was completely different pre-2015. Mr. Pitt says, I believe those numbers. It's common for Gen Xers to look at young men nowadays like they have 5 heads when young men say it's hard to get laid. Yeah, I mean, according to these graphs, Brute Men says, hello, Shah. Young male virginity will be on the rise for sure because women are so picky. It's definitely seeming that way. Mr. Pitt says, technology didn't create female hypergamy, but it definitely put it in the express lane. Absolutely, yes. It exploited, certain things there. So it's definitely, and again, this is hypergamy, not in the strict sense of the word, but this is as far as like short-term things go, right? So some folks are out there cleaning up, man. Username says the article is from March 2019. I thought I found that one, man, but the only reason it seemed weird, I did find that one, bro, but didn't the... Oh, maybe this is a projection, because they got it all the way to, like, whatever this is, 2024. Is the same graph in there? Oh, no. Yeah, see, I don't know. Yeah, see, this one doesn't have the same graph. So this one's a little older. But let's see what they said back then. Lack of sex is driven mainly by the young. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, according to Lila Rose, that's really not that much of a concern. It's not really a concern, I guess. People got it done. House parties, social circles, early 2000s. Everyone got it eventually. Hey, Base. Shout out to you, Base. I think sperm count going down is more reliable info, but testosterone's harder to accurately measure, so you can't put too much stock into it. Yeah, sperm count, like, definitely. I know that, like, just from reading about it and stuff. And testosterone, that was really the first I've heard of testosterone. I guess, I mean, it seems intuitively like it would make sense only because sperm count's going down. It's great to see you, Base. I was thinking about you over the week and about, your comment last week about how it's messed up to make fun of that one guy in that Reddit thread we were reading, and calling him a cuck and stuff like that. We weren't calling him a cuck, but a lot of people in that comments of that thread were, and then a lot of us were just like, dang. And I was thinking about that, meditating on that. And I was like, where that guy was, a lot of us have been. Like, I think any guy who doesn't admit to having simped very hard at one point in their life is lying. Like, they're definitely lying. Like, there was a time, Now, the difference is with that story and this guy is that guy unfortunately got real deep into something and did not find out until way later. And that's why I always say, like, you're lucky if you get your heart broken early. By the way, speaking of big simping, I got another video. Like, this video, I really want to actually react with you guys because it just sounds like I watched this and I really enjoyed watching this. And it's about a French woman who was a famous mountaineer. And they called her the Black Widow. And there's all these stories about these other guy mountaineers who would go on these mountain climbs with her. And, like, she was, like, the biggest, like, narcissist nutcase who would just treat guys completely disposable. So we're going to learn about that. And we're going to learn about people, if they had the stomach, watching her going from one tent to another tent on the mountain. I think climbing mountains might be kind of a metaphor. And, there is something about male and female relations supposed to be working together to get to the top of this mountain. Unfortunately, they want men to be at the top of the mountain already, and then, like, you magically, like, elevator them up to the top. We're gonna see that here, We're gonna see about how a lot of guys did a lot of extra work for her to say she made it to the top of the mountain by herself. So that'll be a fun one. That's gonna be a fun one. Yeah. So, anyways, just wanted to mention that, Base. Also watched your new video. I enjoyed that. Yo, Coffee Enjoyer. Great to see you in here, Coffee Enjoyer. It's not bad, man. Not bad. I'll probably have to get up to open one of these windows. I think my AC will probably click off here in a bit, as it becomes evening. Yeah, pre-2015 was a different world. And by the way, guys, I'll be honest, I'm mostly just chilling tonight. Just to be honest with you guys, I've just had such a long week with work, and I'm just really just trying to take it easy. Raymond says, I'm 37, can't get nothing. What's up, Coffee? Trevor says, they have the saying, you have to have your life together before engaging in a romantic relationship. Yet once you achieve that, most modern women do nothing to complement your life, only hinder it. Well, you know, this is a conversation. Well, if you are a guy who does that, and you go through all this trouble to go through this rags to riches story, then it's just like, why is that guy going to then suddenly be monogamous? Some guys might, but it's going to be hard to convince him to be monogamous when nobody really cared, when he was invisible until he became a success object, basically. I mean, if we're going to call it what it is. You know what I mean? So that's where you really need one of these.
Oh, dowry, it's my right.
I like chilling in Shah's stream here, the late night stuff. I appreciate that, man. You know, bro, someday I really want to do a post-show stream, which is basically where I just keep the stream going. And I want to have a camera set up basically over there and one here. And then, like, it'll just be like a CRT stream. Maybe we'll watch a Simpsons episode together. And then they can't really, I don't think they can get us because since it's playing on the CRT, like, it probably won't pick it up, you know, so I'll have a shotgun mic pointed to the CRT, and then I'll have a camera with me on my little couch chair over there, and we could play video games. You know, it could be a fun little after show, so we'll do the stuff, and then we'll just chill after for anybody who feels like chilling after. That might be a thing. Throwing that out there, trying to speak it into existence, you know? I got laid from MySpace. Did MySpace start the whole relationship status thing? Like, you know, in a relationship, it's complicated, or was that Facebook? Bro, MySpace was cool back in the day, man. Like, you remember, like, you had to know, like, HTML, like, basic HTML language to put, like, a background or to add, like, a song or something. MySpace was a different time. Shout out to MySpace. Base FCZ from Raymond. MySpace was probably peak social media. Yeah, man, nothing's the same, you know, I mean, which is kind of like not even that great of a thing to say. Of course, nothing's the same, but I try not to be too nostalgia driven, says the guy with the giant CRT TV behind me and a huge DVD collection and retro gaming collection. And then a bunch of action figures from movies and stuff from my childhood, literally right behind me. But, you know, that being said, I try not to be super nostalgic about things, but it really, like, I don't want to be the guy that says everything was better in my day, but it really does seem that way. Like, it's very hard for me to find a movie that, like, doesn't suck as far as, like, new movies go, and I just find myself watching old stuff all the time. All downhill since. And I hate to have to agree with you on that, you know. I want to believe every generation has its great artists and things. It's just, you know, where are we, you know? No more young jock can't meet at the club, and it's not going down. It is not going down at the club no more. I don't really consider YouTube normal social media. It's different. Absolutely. Lila Rose says men don't need sex. Sex is a strong urge, almost like a need. She is being extremely cruel and dismissive of men's sexual needs. Yeah, and I know Raymond and I disagree on this. Raymond does not believe it's a need. Hopefully I'm not mischaracterizing you, Raymond. I'm sorry. I do believe it's a need. I do. I believe sex is a need. I am on that side of it. Will you know, starve? No, it's not that kind of a need. You know, it's not food. It's not water. It's not air. But, you know, I think it will not... Like, it's not even just about sex. It's also about human connection and human touch, and embracing and feeling, you know, that kind of thing. It's almost like grounding of an energy, you know. And people need that, you know, and whether that's intimacy or sex. And I do believe those are needs. And I mean, that's why they put monks in cloisters, man. Like, if it really was not like that, you know what I mean? It is a biological function. It is something that I think is a need. And that's why, you know, monks are cloistered up. You know what I mean? And kind of away from certain things a bit there. Gotta go help my son. Take your time, Luke. Take your time. Appreciate you. I am permanent friend zone. You know what, man? The fastest way out of friend zone is to just hit on them. And, you know, they'll either go somewhere or it won't. How's the job going, Shah? It's going well, man. You know, I haven't really mentioned that on stream, but that's okay. It's going well, man. I'm really grateful for it. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. Just get my brain super like I feel like my brain is in this plastic sort of area. Guys, I know I'm talking a lot tonight. I just wanted to hang out with you guys, man. I'm sorry. I really don't even care about watching Dr. K tonight. We will watch that Mountaineering video, and we will watch some Dr. K. I'm not going to be joshing y'all like that. But it's going really well, man. It's a big program. It's a lot to learn. People are super supportive. I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful to just have the position, you know, and I am doing kind of my other stuff on the weekend. So tomorrow I'm actually going to work to do the other stuff I was doing. You know what I mean? So yes, I am doing a lot of things right now. But that doesn't matter, you know, and I'm just grateful. Like, I'm grateful to wake up every morning and to have a lot of things to do and to be able to learn things, you know. Super happy about that. Username says, I got to the bottom of that graph. It was a tweet, but not published in the actual article. But the graph was legit. Okay, that's good to know, username. Because sometimes it's not even sometimes. There's a lot of times you can't trust Twitter. They do have those community notes things, which is nice. Base says, well, it's the greatest irony to that built to... Oh, I'm sorry, Base. I know you retracted one of them and redid it. Sorry, it's just this third-party app that I use. It, like, keeps things there. Well, it's the greatest irony... Third-party. This random app. Yeah. Well, it's the greatest irony, the build-yourself advice. Yeah, exactly. The self-improvement guys. Is that nice guys are wrong for thinking they can earn women. Ooh, that's interesting. But the advice is to create a great life, to earn women. Well, yeah, that's where it, you know, it comes off as gynocentric in a way, you can say. And that's where a lot of like red pill pillars, like Emil Space, we'll call red pill 2.0s. But, you know, a lot of the more recent iteration of red pillars is weirdly gynocentric in the same way that tradcons are. I mean, because they end up basically giving you the same advice, which is also kind of strange as far as like, you know, work harder, bro, do that and all that stuff. And again, I'm not against self-improvement. I'm literally working 2 jobs right now and I'm, you know, it's not about that, but it's just about like, it's about, that is why they're doing it. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest about that, you know? And then, you know, and then it ends up like, I think at the end of the day, what you're expecting to get once you get there is not what you're going to get. I always say you're just increasing your short-term options, which is fine for some folks. If that's what you want. Long-term is a different story, or you're kind of a high-value target. I've always appreciated Coach's word for that, you know. So it is. You know, it's weird. When I hear kind of a lot of red pill stuff, it almost just, to me, it's almost one and the same as like tradcon stuff nowadays. Weirdly, in this weird way. And I've always talked about that there was a tradcon hijacking of the space, basically, you know, and I do believe that happened. I got to the bottom of the graph. It was a tweet, not in the actual article. Simpsons or South Park after party would be cool. Heck yeah, man. I don't have South Park episodes, but bro, I got 9 seasons on DVD that I got from eBay of The Simpsons. And I'm talking like very minimal scratches on there, like top notch, man. Top notch, man. So we're gonna play that on the PS2. I got the first 4 seasons of Futurama. I got Family Guy. I got a bunch of animes. I got Gundam Wing. That was for you, Mr. Pitt, because I know you're into that. So yeah, we got a bunch of stuff back there, and we got a bunch of games to play. So that's gonna be good times. We're gonna make that happen, man, and it's gonna be fun. Don DeMarco says, yes, custom HTML profiles were king. You could inject JavaScript into MySpace. Zanga. Oh my God, Zanga's another thing. It was awesome. Tom low-key taught everyone HTML. Exactly. Well, I'm still alive without it, so... Yeah, I mean, you're alive. It's just, it's about, but it's like a need in terms of like your mental health and being able to, you know, be happy and all that stuff. That sounds kind of weird to say. Maybe you could be happy without it, but I think it is, you know, I think it does affect emotional, mental health and all that. When you can't get it, you have to not think of it as a need. Otherwise, you go insane. See me. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, and I know, again, I know a lot of folks disagree with me here, but I am not an advocate of watching nudie videos. Like, I don't do that. It's been years, you know, and I think my quality of life is better for giving that up. So yeah, it's, you know, it's the need people make it seem maybe isn't as big of a need as they make it seem, but on a long enough timeline, you know, it is. Just hate the excess male trope. Easiest way out of the friend zone is to date other women. Pre-selection is real. That's a great shout out to you, Mr. Pitt. That's some, I like that. Sex lowers risk of prostate cancer in men. I've always heard that. See, that was the argument against like what the no-fappers would call against like no fapping. But I eventually was like, nah, man. Nah, you know. But yeah, I've heard of that. It's probably true. There's probably other health factors too. Like, you probably have better heart health if you're not, you know, tripping off that, I guess. Yo, Trevor, thank you for the other donation, man. It's more than I deserve. Trevor says, do whatever you want this stream, man. Don't beat yourself up, lad. You don't owe us anything. Thank you, man. That makes me feel real good, honestly. It really does. Thank you for giving us a space to socialize and interact with like-minded individuals. That is why we come to these streams. Thank you, man. Honest to God, I wish I had a better sound effect for you. That wasn't the same one I've been playing. But that makes me feel good, man. It serves the same purpose for me. I really do appreciate it. I look forward to this, you know. And it's just like, even if I'm tired, it's just like I still want to do it. Like, I really still want to do it. You know what I mean? Where's my democracy?
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
So, yeah. Thank you, man. You're an absolute legend.
You're an absolute legend, mate.
That's a sound effect from this guy I know in England who used to watch me play Twitch. Shout out to him if he's out there. Thank you again, man. Trevor, big facts, Mr. Pitt. Appreciate you. You ever consider starting a home media server? Shot's a fun project. Like, see, I'm not savvy enough to know what that is, but I know that the PS3 has this kind of server thing, and you can actually watch media from your PS3, and it's good because then you could watch it on your CRT TV. So that's a big deal, but I haven't actually set that up. If that's what you're talking about, then I have thought about it, but I just, like, I really got to look up some tutorials. Not too hard these days. Actually, dude, I think I got a buddy who did do just that. I think it's similar to exercise in that sense, similar effects. That's an interesting point there. Smokey of Stormwind. Hey, shout out to Smokey. At first I was like, oh, come on, man, be nice to Raymond. But then I realized you're literally like one of Raymond's guys from Raymond's chat. Great to see you in here, Smokey. Respect other members in the chat. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, Mr. Pitt, you can untime him out. He's actually from... I appreciate you, Mr. Pitt. Like, I swear to God, I want you to be like that. You're doing the work that needs to happen. But yeah, Smokey is actually from Raymond's chat. And I might even be making that up. Sometimes I make up whole backstories for people, and I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. No worries, bro. No worries. Nah, man, you did the right thing. It's all good. It's all good, man. I'm sure Smokey ain't tripping. He'll be back in here when he's not timed out anymore. And because we've been having some weirdos come in the chat, man. We've been having like people come in here and just do weird stuff, man. But that's okay. Anyways, man. Okay, let's just start this off somewhere good. What does Dr. K do? TikTok. The TikTokification of mental health. Let's just start there. Let's just get into it.
So interesting. You mentioned...
Oh, I can hear you guys now saying put the grid on. I absolutely will. The grid is on. Now, you know, I have a much better opinion of the Diary of the CEO now after last week's fiasco with Chris Williamson and just how that interview was not... He's had other good stuff. That was not one of them. So let's just go ahead and see.
The case of Mike.
Yo, Talut, welcome in, brother. Great to see you, man.
He came to you and he had
Hey, he's got his cornflower blue tie on.
diagnosed his situation. And I'm not surprised, frankly, because of the world we live in now, there's a lot of people calling a lot of things depression and anxiety. We kind of use that word quite flippantly.
And there's a lot of pop psychology stuff going on.
We go through different moods and situations. How do you think the whole mental health and psychology sort of revolution we've seen over the last 10 years and the TikTokification of mental health has led us astray?
So I think
If the volume needs to be adjusted, just let me know. I don't know what it is about this guy. I mean, he went to Harvard. I don't know if I'm making this part up, but I think he was a monk for a bit. That might be somebody else. I just saw like one thing that I just felt like was super weird and artificial. But I'm going to come into this with an open mind. We're going to be like, what? How does this apply to us? And all these kinds of things. And I'm gonna really come in here with an open mind.
Some things that are good about it and some things that are problematic. So I think the really good thing about it is that there is
like some people are just like really good test takers, or they're really good presenters. And you guys remember this from people like back in your like school days, like some people just really know how to speak that corporate lingo and speak that sort of like stuff, and it doesn't feel genuine sometimes. You know what I mean? I don't know. I might even be one of those guys sometimes, but sometimes I feel like I can kind of notice that a bit. But let's see.
a lot more awareness of mental health. So we now realize, so what I used to see about 10 years ago, right, when I was seeing patients is like people would come in and they would not realize that this is a problem that can be fixed. So people would come into my office and they'd say,
I don't have to comment on this, and I shouldn't comment on it. It's just interesting that he's sitting cross-legged. And that probably means nothing. It's just, that's interesting. That's something that's happening there. Both these sods irritate me. But I said that today in the Discord already. I'll behave regardless. Yeah, you know what, man? I totally get it. And listen, this probably won't make it past an hour until we go to the Mountaineering video, which I'm super excited about for some reason.
I'm a loser. Other people are able to next. So people would come into my office and they'd say, I'm a loser. Other people are able to get out of bed. They're able to have discipline. They're productive. They're happy. But I'm a loser. I have no willpower. I'm pathetic. I can't get out of bed. People didn't realize that that was depression. I've worked with so many people who have adult diagnosis of ADHD, which many years ago, you couldn't even be diagnosed as an adult. ADHD had to be something that was kind of like a pediatric diagnosis. So now I think the best thing is that people recognize that, okay, maybe what is wrong with me is not like me. I'm not fundamentally broken in some way, but there is some kind of process going on in my brain, in my mind, that is responsible for my problems. And if I fix that, then I can be well. Now, on the flip side, what started to happen is no one on the internet understands the concept of differential diagnosis.
Differential diagnosis. Okay.
Everyone is like, oh, I have a TikTok that if this...
By the way, guys, I probably should be stopping this more than I have been stopping it, just for the sake of what we're watching here. Diary of the CEO was kind to us last time, so...
If you sometimes forget your keys, you have ADHD. If you are happy in the morning and sad, if you have a kid who throws temper tantrums, they're bipolar. So everyone is taking a symptom and jumping to a diagnosis. Whereas like literally half of what we learn in med school and what we do as doctors is everyone thinks it's about treatment. It's about differential diagnosis.
There's a lot of people kind of self-diagnosing and just running with stuff online, and then it becomes part of like our popular consciousness. I watched a lot of Coach today. I was listening to a lot of Coach, and he had some epic rants today. And he was talking about this whole frontal lobe development and how people use that as an excuse. Or he was something about, like, he was reacting to a clip where some woman was saying women should not be locked down by a guy in their 20s at all, and how bad of an idea it is. And then there was a lot of people saying, your frontal lobe isn't developed all the way. And Coach thought that was complete BS. And, I think Coach is right. And it's funny, I was thinking about it as I was driving, listening to Coach talk about this. And what I thought was interesting about that is I feel like the people who say, yeah, your frontal lobe isn't that as developed until you're 25, I wouldn't be surprised if those other people could not name the other lobes in the brain and what their functions are and when they're either matured or not matured or what they do. You know what I mean? So that's an example of something that just becomes this kind of popular meme saying or something. I don't know if meme's the right word. And when you really think about it, like, how many people really know that much about the brain? I mean, you know, do you know what Broca's and Wernicke's area is? Maybe some of you do. You know what I mean? Like, what the heck is the cerebellum for? You know, and what the heck is that part of the brain the corpus callosum? Is that the part that connects both of the hemispheres together? I don't remember. You know what I mean? How many people really know? So then, you know, then people are out here going, well, you know, the frontal lobe isn't actually developed until you're 25. And it's like, yeah, but, you know, it's just like a weird thing, you know.
About understanding that if you lose your keys, there are all kinds of reasons for that. If you have difficulty getting out of bed, maybe it's depression, maybe it's trauma, maybe it's ADHD, maybe it's anemia, maybe it's obstructive sleep apnea. And so the biggest problem is that everyone is jumping to a conclusion on the internet, which then causes problems because that may not be the right conclusion.
We spoke last time about men.
Yeah.
And there was
okay, we're talking about men now.
a lot of discussion around just this wild difference between how men are feeling in the world and how they're being understood in the world versus women. Before we started recording, you said your thoughts have developed even further since we last spoke on that.
Yeah, so I think there are a couple things to understand. So the first is that if you're a man who's struggling in the world today, we as men assume that if we're struggling, we need to fix something on the outside, right? So if I am not making enough money, the answer to that is to get some additional certification or become more productive, maybe use some kind of supplement. So that men are fundamentally different because we are conditioned, and this could be somewhat biological, but it's certainly societal, to solve our problems externally.
You know, I think there's probably some truth to that. I mean, definitely there's cultural conditioning for that. That's your, you know, well, you need to become more of a success object. You need to work harder. It sucks out there. Too bad. You got to make more money, and that's what you're going to have to do. Now, if you're not making enough money, then yes, that's probably going to require some external change to help you make more money, because ostensibly the problem is you're not making enough money. He might say something like, well, maybe you don't need to make more money. Maybe it's other things that make you feel compelled to believe that you need to earn more money. Could be that, you know. I think, you know, people ultimately are maybe should be okay with saying, hey, I'm okay. If they're truly okay with where they're at in life, what they're doing, then that's nothing to shame people about, you know. So maybe men are culturally conditioned in one way or another. I don't know. It's like that Hank Hill clip from Instagram where, you know, he's trying to work on the car with Bobby and he's like, this is my therapy. There is something to that. You know, I feel better by going outside and doing things and working on things, and reading about the dowry made me reading about new things that I didn't know about makes me happy. Just learning all kinds of things make me happy. And, you know, going out there and meeting new people, doing things, you know, you could run into some issues, but for the most part, doing stuff is. Maybe you're just staying tired. Apparently, every girl's ex-boyfriend in 2025 has a cluster B personality disorder. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people will say, well, my ex was a narcissist. And it's like, well, we must be surrounded by a lot of narcissists, or some people are dating the same people. I'm supposedly a narcissist. Yeah, it's like, isn't only like 5% of the population supposed to be a narcissist? Or maybe we have a culture that is turning everybody into a narcissist. Or maybe we're being sold become a narcissist as, you know, the answer to being successful. I always thought this was an interesting argument. I rarely hear it in good faith. Maybe you're just damn tired. I've been there. Base says, you're cooking with the lobe thing, Shah. That was definitely Coach. First off. Then they had me thinking about it, you know. Cooking. What's crazy is that even though the frontal lobe isn't fully developed, these people still made choices, didn't they? How about that? Listen, I'll tell you this, man. I worked at child support for a good number of years, and I saw plenty of 18-year-olds having to pay child support, right? Like, and there's no such thing as, well, my frontal lobe was not developed, so therefore I should not have to pay child support. I mean, if you're 21 and you're God forbid, you know, driving under the influence, you know what I mean? And something bad happens, like there's no my frontal lobe, you know. It's just you're an adult, you know what I mean? So and then the other question is like as we're growing, there's probably a lot of parts of us that are still developing and changing and you know the way we do things. So I guess the part that irritated Coach, if I'm characterizing it right, is that it's using that to say that you should not be held accountable in the same way, I guess, is really the issue there. So, yeah, it's just, you know, our sort of common, there's probably a lot of these floating around out there that we don't think about, but there's just like a lot of them, probably. Isn't that what lobotomies are for? If they want to talk about brain stuff, I wonder how much of that is due to the borderline poison that is modern food. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of changes, right? Like you can say people are reaching puberty earlier than they have in our society. So it used to be like, I think 15, 16. Now people are reaching that at like age 10 or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, what is our frontal lobe then even really going to be fully developed at 25? Maybe in that case, our frontal lobe develops as much as it's going to be developed by 20 then. I don't know, you know, since all these things are happening 5 years earlier. A bit of electroshock therapy. The unnatural state of modern life in general, you know. Yeah, I mean, you know, I will say, I think that is a fundamentally human thing, is to live unnaturally. Like, humans, I don't believe, are natural. Now, that doesn't mean you should start, you know, injecting yourself with all kinds of things and eating a bunch of garbage simply because of that. But I do believe that addiction, to some extent, is part of the history of humanity. And doing things outside of the bounds of nature is fundamentally what makes us human. I mean, you know, it's just cameras, airplanes, social media, cell phones. God knows what kind of waves are being blasted into me right now just from all this. I got these foam studio panels on here. I don't know what kind of cheap plastic that's made of, and I'm in a room full of it right now. You know what I mean? There's the blue light from the screens. And it's like, you know, I can't get decent butter out here. Most of the eggs I get got some weak shells to it. Just sad. The water, I'm not going out of my way to get well water, you know. The milk, they got me on the milk. I wake up, the first thing I do is turn my phone on and start looking at my phone. That, watching TV, you know, that's another thing. Nothing about us is in a weird, but you know, obviously if you go out in nature and stuff, I think you are more healthy if you eat closer to nature. So there is a kind of spectrum as to how far you're going. Unnatural state, memorizing the Quran. Well, people will do that very early on. I think this stuff is a much bigger reason than any of the ADHD or anything like that. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of it's probably tied together. If that, I mean, you know, I don't know if I'm making sense there, or if I know what I'm talking about. Mr. Pitt says, should we stop women from voting until the age the frontal lobe is considered to be developed? Yeah, nobody votes until your frontal lobe is developed. It should be like Starship Troopers, where we all have to join the military to get full, you know, the right to vote or something. I don't know. Should it be like that? You know what? Let me ask that in the poll. Should only people who serve mandatory conscription have the right to vote? That's a fair question. Question mark.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
Toulouse says, well, aren't most women gynocentric? That's why they are culturally narcissists, and we just call it hypergamy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just women. I would say probably most of the people in our society. That's how our culture is. Luke says, that's an interesting take. I got to think about that one for a while. You don't like Bill Gates? It's probably true. You don't like Bill Gates' new butter? Did Bill Gates make some new butter? Oh, my God. I'll tell you right now, I don't even got to look at this. I instantly don't like it. Butter is one thing I will spare no expense on. Bill Gates' new butter. Oh my God, lab-made butter. How dare they? Oh no, this is going to be a bigger scam since margarine came out. Oh no, you better believe it. Now this is going to sound horrible. Probably something you want to invest in if this is purely from a capitalist-driven, I want to make money. I'm not telling you what to invest in, even though I just did. But all I'm saying is, yes, people will probably buy this and eat this. Will Shah buy this and eat this? No, he will not. And if Shah finds out that a restaurant he goes to on the rare occasion he decides to is using Bill Gates butter, well, I will be extremely disappointed. I will be extremely disappointed in that. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, the claim is true. The context is Breakthrough Energy Ventures, an investment fund Gates founded as a shareholder in Savor, the company that manufactures lab-made butter. Gates is not personally involved in Savor's management or leadership, according to a Savor spokesperson. Well, okay, but it sounds like he's kind of financing the whole thing. I mean, come on now. Come on now. Let's see, CBS News. I want to hear about the science behind this fake butter. Oh, looks like I got an ad blocker. Let me just get the ad blocker out. Refresh. Okay. Butter made from carbon, and it tastes like the real thing. That's interesting. That's interesting. And also extremely concerning. A company in Batavia, Illinois, is making butter in a way you've never seen. No animals, no plants, no oils. This butter is made from carbon. Wow, it looks and smells and tastes like butter. Lies. Those are all lies. But it's made without the farmland, fertilizers, and emissions. This unprecedented process is happening at facilities. So you're using this gas right now to cook your food, and we're proposing that we would like to first make your food with that gas. I'd rather use the gas to cook my food with real ingredients than I would to have gas blasted at my food and then I consume it. See, this is some weird speak right here. I don't like that. The company's pioneering tech uses carbon and hydrogen to make sticks of butter that anyone could recognize. That is pretty novel, to be able to make food that looks and tastes and feels exactly like dairy butter. Lies. These are all lies. But with no agriculture whatsoever, said Jordan Baden-Charles, food scientist for Savor. And without a long ingredient list, what are you talking about? Butter does not have a long ingredient list. It's literally like cream and maybe cultures. There is no long ingredients list. It's cream. How dare they? How dare they lie? It's really just our fat, some water, a little bit of lecithin. Oh, just a little bit of some soy lecithin in there as an emulsifier, and just some natural flavors. This probably contains stuff that you can't pronounce. How dare you? This is how it works. Fats are made up of carbon and hydrogen chains. The goal is to replicate those chains without animals or plants, and they did it. To put it in simple terms, Savor says they take carbon dioxide from the air and hydrogen from water, heat them up, oxidize them, and get a final result that looks like candle wax. Oh, no. But it is, in fact, fat molecules like those in beef, cheese, or vegetable oils. The entire process releases zero greenhouse gases, no farmland to feed cows. Oh, God. All right, well, I'm going to move on from this. I'm sorry, legends. 2020, 40, and 25 and 2050 is going to look very interesting. Let's check out our poll real quick, though. Let me just see what the folks said about that. Watching TV, who does that? Bugs won't even touch that fake butter. That's how you know it's no good. Exactly. Exactly. Let's see. Service guarantee citizenship. Well, I mean, people can be citizens, but then again, are you really a citizen if you don't have the right to vote? Like, does that really count? So, I think that stuff makes a difference for health, but no excuses for the whole mind thing. You have to operate as best you can as an adult, period. Absolutely, I agree with you there. Land ownership, military service. Interesting. That's an interesting dichotomy there. So if you want to own land, you have to do military service first. Am I the only one that that would get in the way of inheritance? So like if your parents own land and they want to give it to you, I don't know. That's an interesting thing. Am I the only one that voted no? That's actually funny. All right, let's see what's going on with the poll. End poll. Real quick, I'm just going to open a window just to get some air in here, lest I get woozy like last time. Sorry about that, fellas. Okay, so we had 85% say yeah. Oh, wow, okay. All right, interesting. 14% said no. The climate cult is out of control. How about a quick quiz to check if you qualify to vote? That's not a bad idea. I mean, I could get behind that. I mean, how bad can the quiz be? To be fair, I think they mean long ingredient list compared to what the fake butter. Okay, yeah, you're probably right about that, Coffee. They're probably talking about the I can't believe it's not butter stuff. Fat and water is hydrogenated animal fats. That's what margarine is, absolutely. Yeah, I enjoy the purple nurple candle wax. All right, let's move in.
But the one overwhelming thing that I've learned about men is that, you know, if you're a man who wants to get better, 90% of what you need to do is not outside of you. It's actually inside of you. But this is not where men look, right?
Well, I mean, you know, I don't think it's bad advice to say maybe, you know, think about things, do some meditation and figure out why you think some of the things that you think and what you think about thinking about those things and possibly if it could be different. You know, I personally, I write my dreams down every night and then I email them to myself in the morning. And just, I've done that for about a little over a decade. I'm probably hitting like 12 years now. And there have been a lot of dreams that I've had that have helped me unravel and unknot things in my internal world that affects how I view things on my external world. Some might say there's not even a difference between both of those, if you really want to do. But yeah, so, okay.
Think like, okay, I need to get this kind of car, I need to get sexier, I need to be able to bench twice as much. So we always look to things outside of ourselves. But in the majority of the work that I've done with men, really the work that they need to do is internal, but we're not taught how to do that. There's a really great example of this. So if you look at the top 1% of earners versus the top 10%. So the top 10% of earners on the planet have a higher IQ than the top 1%. The people who actually make the most money have a lower IQ than the quartile right underneath them. And the big difference there is that people in the top 1% have a very high EQ. So we grossly underestimate the capacity to control oneself. And if you really want to achieve the most in life, that's what you really need to focus on. And the more that I work with men, this is basically what I teach them, and the outcomes that I see are amazing, right? We're talking like on the worst end. You know, I worked with a 32-year-old guy who started using drugs when he was 13 years old, polysubstance use, mostly opiates and heroin. So at the age of 32, no job, not living on the street, crashing with his girlfriend. And then within a span of 40...
Somewhere out there is Raymond listening to this saying, this guy's been doing drugs since he's 13, doesn't have a job, and he has a girlfriend whose place he can crash out. He can crash on. You know, meanwhile, there's guys out there with like a bunch of whatever. I don't know. Shout out to this guy that gave up the drugs and all that.
Years, this guy became a therapist himself, had a stable income, got married, and published his first dystopian fiction novel.
There you go.
So we're talking about a 4-year span of like being literally a heroin addict to, you know, being a published author and like having a stable, fulfilling relationship and job. And all of that work is like internal. It's about understanding the way that you work, understanding the way that your brain works, and learning how to control yourself.
Is that
interesting? Don DeMarco says a civic literacy exam is a good idea. Working out helps the inside as well as the outside. I could see that. Yes, benching helps you. Fool. Luke says working on yourself to improve helps the internal. Getting active helps you internally. Fresh air and sunlight helps you internally. Therapy, for the most part, I think is for women. Honestly, how do they have high IQ? What's a high EQ score? Not a thing. They are incentivized to discount the positive effect of exercise because that puts them out of a job. Interesting. EQ is nonsense. That's what I think, at least. Caesar Quintana. Hey, welcome in, Caesar. Shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. I appreciate that. Very kind of you, sir. And I hope you're doing well on this amazing Friday night. But yeah, I'm just chilling. You know, like I do believe like depression is a real thing. And the key is like going out there and keep doing stuff, trying to embrace uncertainty and doing new things and trying to do new things and hopefully get some results from that. I do understand though that can be really hard in the beginning. Like it can be really hard to just climb out of that tar in the beginning and start doing things. And as you're doing things, it sucks. But the more you do things and the more stuff that you kind of get going on, then it just, you know, before you know it, kind of like this guy, after a few years, you just got a lot of stuff going on. And then, you know, it's just different. You look back and you're like, man, I feel a lot better about things. W. Caesar. Yes, sir, Mr. Pitt, EQ is nonsense 100%.
Same for women, though, because I've got women friends who are same age that are really, really struggling, they're not doing heroin or drugs or anything like that, but the objective sort of situation of their life is they're so far from all of their goals, no partner, feeling lonely, unhealthy, and seemingly out of control.
Yeah, so I've worked with plenty of women for whom that is a problem as well. But I think if we look at on average, right? So remember that like within any population of men and women, there's going to be more variance between women than there is between men and women.
Sure.
So absolutely the case for a lot of women. I think the big difference is that a lot of the tools that we have were sort of designed with women in mind. A great example of this is like psychotherapy or talk therapy. So if you look at the gold standard of how we process our emotions, it's verbally. Now, the studies actually show that if you look at like estrogen has a very, very interesting effect on awareness of your internal emotional state and the ability to articulate your internal emotional state. So as estrogen rises, you literally feel emotions more. So this is why women will have problems like premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMS. You know, when there are these hormonal fluctuations, it's not that we should treat them poorly or anything like that, but they actually literally feel emotions in a more intense way because of the fluctuations in their estrogen level. So it's like that's like scientific fact. It's not like it's not good or bad, right? It's just something that's a fact. So the higher your estrogen is, the more emotional awareness you'll have. So there are some biological factors, and then there's also like if you look at the way that women are conditioned, they're conditioned to be good listeners, to provide emotional support for the men around them.
That is a big sale right there. He's really.
And so they're a lot better at verbal fluency. Like that's not even related to emotions. You can look.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. Sounds like there's really some big talking going on here. Well, we'll get back to that. Donna Marcus says, yes, service pit EQ is nonsense 100%. I agree EQ is bull. Therapy is mostly for women. It can help in some ways for actual trauma like PTSD, something I know about. Thank you for that, Luke. Coffee says, I agree depression is real. I just think how most therapy is structured is inherently gynocentric and doesn't work well for men. To be honest, like kind of what he's just been describing here sounds kind of gynocentric, but okay, whatever, we'll go there. Yeah, you know, especially like, I mean, there's a huge emphasis on talking and stuff like that. I don't know. Do I think talking is something that can help men and like talking about feelings or this kind of stuff? Or is it better to be worked out in other ways? You know, that's an interesting question. I think talking to like, you know, like one of your close friends, like that's a good bro who can maybe relate to your experiences as a man isn't a bad thing sometimes, just depending. Oh, y'all go out on the old fishing trip, or maybe go shoot some arrows at the archery range or something, and y'all talking about some stuff. You know, go drive the car around or something. That could be good. You know, so I think talking's important. I do a lot of talking with my buds. But yeah, I mean, there is something about therapy, at least I think for maybe a lot of guys, at least for me, where it's just like, you know. So I don't know. I can hear what you're saying. Been depressed, was on generic antidepressant. Jim was better, dropped the antidepressant as a result. And there it is, man. I mean, you know, you found a way that worked. You worked hard and you accomplished stuff, and that feeling of victory spiraled up until one victory, another victory, another victory, and then you weren't depressed anymore, you know? I feel like it could be the same thing with men in their dating lives. It sucks, you know, you get rejected a lot, but then when you get like that one win and you just keep it going and you get more wins, and then pretty soon it's like you've spiraled up out of that. You know, that's why I pay so much attention to my dreams too, is like my dreams are my emotions. Literally, those are my feelings being shown to me at night in a different way. So it helps me process those and unknot any knots that are there if I think about them, if there's something that's very pressing in that way. So there are, you know, ways I think I deal with things, but I do think you have to go out and do stuff, and that's all part of it. It works together. Been on antidepressant before. It mostly just numbed my emotions, didn't solve anything. That's what I hear from a lot of people. That's what I hear. Weird feeling. I would never tell someone not to do it, but I've heard things like they can affect like your sex drive and all that kind of stuff. There's some people who I think it's been permanently altered. So, I mean, I don't want to say that as fact, but you know, I've read some stuff about that. So definitely look into that while you're considering those options. If you are, I don't think you are, Coffee Enjoyer, but you know, for people who are, I can't even I can't even list how many drugs the VA was shoving down my gullet. I stopped them all, and I've been much better without them. Man, shout out to you, honestly. I mean, you're talking to a guy who barely trusts getting food from a restaurant outside. So you can only imagine how I feel about the pharmaceutical industry. Also, as estrogen rises, you sit on Diary of a CEO, legs crossed like a 9-year-old. Emotional awareness or more neurotic? Yeah, I think he's maybe selling a very positive aspect of maybe what something women can be or do. That does not mean that is how it's being expressed, though. It could be expressed in a totally different way. Instead of being somebody that is very empathetic, a woman can be maybe just like a freaking black hole and just, I don't know, who knows, like, or they could just be like a emotional vampire to you in a way like you've never imagined. Forget about helping you with your emotions, just sucking the life out of you until there's just a broken heart and a black void, you know. Caesar Cortana says, did you hear our hero Jordan Peterson is probably terminally ill? I have heard some things, like he had to cancel a bunch of shows or something. I didn't see much about that. Let's see what's going on. It's kind of interesting that you bring this up now because, you know, Jordan Peterson was the guy that was there to, you know, allegedly help a lot of men through depression. And he talked about his own depression struggles and all this kind of stuff. But it's just like, I don't know. It just seems like it's still something that maybe he deals with in a way. Jordan Peterson, recent news. Let's see what I could find. Like, I don't even think he's doing his own Twitter or anything. Oh, here we go. Gosh, man, what in the story is this? You're telling me this guy who's like 100 millionaire is diagnosed from an exposure to mold? Come on, man. Like, I want to believe he was living in a place where there wasn't this much mold, but let's see what's going on. I'm just jumping to conclusions here. Jordan Peterson diagnosed with chronic condition after exposure to mold. All right. Jordan Peterson. Oh, here's our Michaela Peterson tweet. Let me just pull that up. And then let me review it because you know how X can be. Yeah, I guess we might as well just go into the whole thing here. Show more. All right, guys, we got an entire paragraph. I mean, this ain't even a paragraph. This is an entire essay of just stuff from Michaela. So, all right, here's the story, I guess. Let me just go ahead and do this for a second. Caesar, we'll just go ahead and take this off real quick. Okay. Hey, guys, Jordan Peterson is taking some time off of everything. He was diagnosed with CIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome, due to a genetic predisposition that causes the immune system to have an inability to identify and detoxify mold. Bacteria in indoor air, the genetic predisposition is not that rare. It's in about 25% of people, but he has a severe version. Okay. Over the last year or so, he's been feeling the impact of CIRS more and more. Recently, he was exposed to a particularly moldy environment while helping clean out my grandfather's house. Oh, there you go. So that's where it came from. After he passed away, which severely flared symptoms. Okay. To be crystal clear, this isn't about akathisia or medication. He's not on any medication. It's an immune system dysfunction. CIRS is what has been behind his multiple health issues and random severe allergies and severe food sensitivities over the years. He's really been suffering from this badly since 2017. We just didn't know what it was called. Only eating meat helped keep the symptoms under control, but it hasn't been enough recently. CIRS is also the explanation behind recent canceled shows, canceled events, sporadic appearance of being run down, and general weepiness caused by pain. Well, there you go. He's pausing the podcast at the moment, but we're hopeful for a somewhat speedy recovery, given we at least know what's going on. All right. Praise God that we finally know what's been going on. The fact that doctors don't generally recognize that mold exposure to indoor air is causing chronic health issues is insane. Okay. The fact that this is the cause behind our food sensitivities and inability to tolerate anything other than meat for 8 years now. Multiple disorders and diseases in my family and is virtually unrecognized by the medical community is absurd. Just like the medical system didn't recognize keto. Okay, yeah. Just like psych med withdrawal wasn't recognized 5 years ago. Okay. So for now on YouTube, he has episodes of the new Colin Q&A show that him and I recorded together before he got really ill. He was excited to put this out. We hope you guys like it. It's out now on YouTube, Real Daily Wire, and all other podcasting sites. All right. Well, yeah, that's what's going on with Jordan. That's what's going on with JP. That's interesting. Well, we'll see, hopefully it gets better. Yeah. I mean, dang. That is true, but he's no hero of mine. He definitely changed once he joined Daily Wire. He became different. I remember the early days, Jordan Peterson. Talking can work a little, but men heal faster, better in active pursuits, especially together. I believe that. I can see that anyways. Like that could be a thing, Yeah, it really depends. Guys deal with stuff different. Hey, I really want to know podcast. Shout out to you, man. It's great to see you. I was sneak watching you earlier yesterday. I was watching you and listening. Sorry I didn't chat. I was just in the, I was kind of had you on while I was doing some work. So it's great to see you in here, man. And I hope you're doing well. I'm glad to see you streaming again and making YouTube videos and stuff. I do enjoy those when you make them. I always make sure to listen. And I like your car videos too, by the way. Just so you know. Where are we at? 100% they make you numb. And yes, they do influence the sex drive inability. Yeah, I'd read that somewhere before. When I was on them, made me quite drowsy in the morning and would try and compensate consuming lots of caffeine to stay awake. So this is how you became coffee enjoyer. This is the origin story. Oh, Rip Peterson. Here we go. Again, yeah. JP probably misgendered someone online. As a fellow, I appreciate Jordan for standing up to his university and Canadian politicians, but he's too blue pill on modern male-female dynamics. Yeah, that's true. Maybe it'd have been different if he didn't join Daily Wire, but You know, he's probably just someone who's like, he's been married for years. He's just out of the game on that. And it's just different, you know. Only a quarter of that post was necessary. The rest was worthless prattle. I know. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Gotcha. It's all good. Keep leading from the front. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that a lot. I always think about what you told me about like comedy. And, you know, the best way to learn comedy is to just go to the open mic nights. That's after I told you I signed up for a class that was a disaster. And I think about that sometimes, you know, the open mic nights. I hate to say it, but I don't rule out JP may have relapsed. You know, Caesar, it's funny you say that because part of me was thinking that there might be more to the story. Like, the way she's explaining all that, it just sounds like a little, like, oh, we finally found it. You know, oh my God, it's just such a shame doctors don't pay attention to that. Like, I don't know what's going on, you know. There could be more that's going on. They got a lot of money on the line. You know, maybe this was the PR thing to say, like, oh, well, this is the mold. And yeah, it has been the mold, actually. So that kind of does fit. Never mind the possible, I mean, yeah, so there could be other things. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out either. Okay, man, I can't wait to watch that mountaineering video with you guys.
You know, boys and girls who are 8 years old,
Open mic
girls
is
will
the
have a
way.
higher level of verbal fluency than boys do at the age of 8. So there are a lot of things in our mental health system that rely on being aware of your emotions, being able to articulate your emotions, using words to process your emotions. And so absolutely they can learn more about themselves. I think 99% of human beings on the planet, myself included, can benefit from learning more about themselves. But I think that women have somewhat of a leg up, which is why women are 70% of patients who seek psychotherapy, right? Even 70% of therapists are women.
I was just going to say that. I'm glad he mentioned that because I was going to say, well, it also, you know, most therapists are women.
So there's like a very clear gender gap in the field of mental health.
So going back up the river then, so the crux of the issue is not being able to control oneself, essentially.
Control is even a step too far. The crux of the issue is not understanding yourself, right? Good diagnosis precedes good treatment. Control comes later.
Okay.
I don't think I think understanding yourself, there's something to be said about that.
So first you need to understand oneself.
Absolutely.
And how do I go about understanding oneself? And in the
Okay,
case
good
of the
follow-up.
gentleman you mentioned as the case study there, how did he go about understanding himself as a heroin addict who had polysubstance abuse to this successful person?
So I think the best place to start, I know it's going to sound kind of simple, but is to look at
Who is this guy? You talking about Dr. K? This is Dr. K. Basically, like, he got really big on Twitch, I think. That's where I first saw him. And Twitch was super big back then before I think YouTube live streaming was starting to take off. And he got big there as like Healthy Gamer GG, and then like all the big Twitch influencers would go to him for like their mental health because they all kind of had to, like, this is kind of mean to say, but they all had to virtue signal about how all about mental health they were. And this guy kind of came in as like, yeah, oh my God, he's the mental health guy that helps everybody. And I'm going to go be a good example of, you know, this and that. You know, I don't know if that's what it was, but it just felt a little, you know, like there was, you know what I mean? That's where he got big. So he's kind of that guy. The dude worships, I don't know if he knows, but we're different. And the strengths he's mentioning is necessarily strengths. Oh crap. I said I'd be, that's all good. No, Luke, we appreciate that, man. Bring it on. It's all good. The mental health guru. Gotcha. Yeah. You know, I like that you use the word guru there, right? Because there's the self-improvement gurus. You know, there's the pickup gurus. There's the mental health gurus, finance gurus.
yourself.
I think this guy is technically actually a guru in the sort of sense of the word. Like, I think he really was a monk or a guru or something. Didn't he do... Yeah, he is. He's a former monk. Yes, let's talk about his monk history. This time, it's history. Give us more about his monk journey. Spiritual exploration. At 21, he visited an ashram in India, seeking to become a monk. While he didn't become a full-time monk, this experience led him to study yoga and meditation. significantly impacting his self-awareness and control. So yeah, okay, yeah. See, I knew I remembered that.
So what a lot of us do is anytime we have a problem, the first thing that we do is we try to jump to a solution. So if I'm unhappy in life, I need to make more money. If I'm struggling with dating, I need to get a better job, or
Okay, external for external, but he's going to drive us inward.
be sexier or whatever. So we tend to jump to solutions. So I think the first thing that you've got to do is slow a little bit down and look at yourself. And when you look at yourself, there are a couple of things that I think a lot of people really miss. The first is what drives a lot of their behaviors. So we focus so much on fixing a behavior, like using heroin, for example, right? But we don't really ask ourselves, why am I using heroin in the first place? Where does the drive for using heroin come from? And that is the key question, right? So it's not about how you need to change. It's about, why am I the way that I am? And this is where people make such a simple mistake. I'd say the majority of people that I talk to, when they look at themselves, they're not critically thinking. What they actually do is they'll make some kind of conclusion. I'm lazy. So like, think about what that means. Like, laziness, first of all, is like not a thing. There is not like a laziness circuit in the brain. You can't measure laziness. Laziness is a lazy way of looking at laziness. If we look at human behavior, motivation, discipline, things like follow through, willpower, these are all discrete functions within our brain, and then we just say, oh, we're lazy. But which one of those things is lacking? So as we understand, okay, why are we lazy? What does that really mean? Where is my motivation coming from? What is the status of my willpower? As we explore these kinds of things, that's when we see really what the answer is. And the really cool thing is, if you look at a lot of research on things like, we use this technique called motivational interviewing, where in order to change behavior, you don't need to convince anyone of anything. You need to help people understand things. And once a human being understands something themselves, they will automatically change behavior.
I think there's something that could be said of that. I think there is, something to be said about understanding why you might be doing something. Maybe you're tired of doing something, or you feel like you can't stop. Maybe there is some underlying reason why that's worth exploring. I like Guru from Gangstar. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to look that up. Obviously, you got to go full monk mode to gain the insight Dr. K speaks of. Never been addicted to heroin, so I don't understand that. But I have seen heroin addicts from the age of 12. Monk mode sounds more beneficial than what he's talking about, to be honest. Well, I think if you're going to be doing monk mode, it's going to be hard to ignore a lot of internal processes anyways, because to try to have that much focus and just calmness or whatever, you're going to have to deal with a bunch of distractions trying to take your focus away. Then you might have to end up confronting, why is it that I feel compelled to do this or do that? Why can't I sit here and focus for a bit? Why is it so hard for me to go on monk mode and all that kind of stuff? I think that's where NoFap was good for folks. They would do the 90-day reset back in, was that like 2014-ish, NoFap subreddit, And it was, I think it's all a thing that can just help you maybe just understand kind of what's going on a bit. The addiction is the driving factor for drugs, but what drove them to drugs, that's what he's really talking about. Yeah, exactly. Like, it is addicting, maybe because it's like a kind of escapism. So they're trying to escape from whatever their situation is, whether that's a truly an external problem or an internal kind of thing that they don't like thinking about themselves or something. Seems overly intellectual. Yeah, there's a bit of that. God, the fork hitting the plate is the worst sound. My bad, man. I'll try to be better about that. Man, wasn't there a guy named Fork that would come around here? Or am I tripping about that? Don't worry, Trevor. I got you. Now that you've mentioned it to me, I'm aware. And now you are going to get me to change my behavior because now I understand. I know you a little bit better, so I can see what that means. He seems like he's over-explaining monk mode. I don't know. I learned a lot about addiction quitting smoking. Me too, man. There was a time where I smoked cigarettes from 17 to 20. And it took me a few times to quit, and I'm glad I quit. Now, I do like the occasional cigar, but that doesn't happen very often. It's only when I'm with people or it's like a very special occasion. Like when I met Coach. That was a very special occasion. I've been smoking since I was 10 in 1990, so I understand that. No, wait, that's why they call you Smokey of Stormwind. You've been smoking cigarettes since you were 10? Like, for real, for real? That's a fair point. By the way, and if you answer that, what is your cigarette of choice? You a Marlboro man? Yeah, or a Camel guy. Yeah, he's overcomplicating it. If you need to make more money, that's what it is. I don't have time to look at myself or whatever. Clankers. I started smoking at 30 when I came back from a harrowing patrol. The Polish guys gave me a smoke, and I did until 2 years ago. Wow. Hey, man, I don't blame you for that. I honestly do not. I do not, man. Good on you for quitting, though, bro. Good on you for quitting, man. I smoke cigars now because Aussie government made Marlboros taste like crap. Oh, yeah. I remember when the U.S. changed Marlboros over here. God, it's crazy to think that was 15 years ago for me. Shah smoking? There was a time, man. There was a time. It is bad for you, too. Don't smoke, man. But, you know. I loved Camel. Now I can't buy them. Man, what does a pack of cigarettes go for nowadays? They're probably like over $10 easy. I mean, I have not consciously looked at a price of a pack of smokes in years.
Right? If I tell you, hey,
all right, looks like y'all are getting sick of how to understand yourself. Maybe
Steven,
we'll
don't
move
touch
forward on that.
that pan, it's hot. And you touch the pan and you burn yourself. You won't listen to me. But the moment that you touch it and you get burned, suddenly your behavior will change on its own.
That's kind of an external thing there, but whatever.
We learn.
Are we addicted to self-development? Hey, that might be a good one, especially in terms of the self-improvement gurus. Why
is that? There's quite a complex psychological thing, because there's a certain type of person who is like a self-development junkie, but they never self-develop.
Yeah.
They go to all the conferences, they watch all the videos, they've got, they know all the words, but they don't actually put anything into action.
Yeah, so there's a lot of subtlety, but the craziest thing is that
definitely a lot of people who do that. It's almost like a kind of masturbatory content, you know. And some of the bigger, high value man podcasts kind of serve this purpose in a weird way, where it's like people watch it, you watch the high value man as a kind of avatar or surrogate for yourself, and they would dunk on the ladies or whatever, and it would kind of be rage bait content. And then, there'd be the talk of self-improvement and what it looks like to be one of these guys. But if people were just staying at home, just watching the content but not doing anything, then it serves kind of a masturbatory purpose in this weird way. I love Camel, can't buy them now. Cheers, lad. I am sensitive to high-pitched noises. The irritation is worse when it's unpredictable and sudden, like with construction. Oh, I got you, man. No worries, man. I hear that. And I'm kind of like that too, man. Maybe not to the level, or kind of what you're talking about exactly, but especially if I'm listening to something and there's always these loud cars that drive by at the worst hours, and it just annoys the hell out of me. And I'm just like, dang, man. But yeah, 75 for Marlboro 20s in Australia. Man, you just made me remember Marlboro 100s. Those are those longer Marlboro Reds. Well, I think all of them came in 100s. Almost $20 in New York City. $20 for a pack of smokes. Wow. Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy. That in itself should probably help a lot of people quit smoking cigarettes. Uncross your legs, fool. The cheapest decent smokes here are like $7. Yeah, those are probably... You guys remember a pack of smokes called Pall Malls? I think they were called Pall Malls. I had a buddy who just would get the cheapest cigarettes, and I think he would get some of them called Pall Malls, and it was just really funny. They were not a good cigarette. They were not. Davidoff made some good cigarettes. If you could find Lucky Strikes with the filter still on it, most Lucky Strikes didn't have the filter. But one time I found a pack of Luckies. I don't even know how I got this thing that had the filters, and I could never find them again, and they were badass. But they're bad for you, though. Smoking's bad. Midwest. Guys in the Midwest. I know people that are addicted to self-help. Yeah. There's this kind of weird thing about self-help. And you just consume the stuff. And people would do that with the red pill, too, right? that was a thing even on the back in the subreddit days. It's like people go in there and you just read a bunch of stuff on the field reports and you never put it into action. So you just get stuck there or whatever. That was like actually a phenomenon. They're always looking for the new thing, self-help. Yeah, I agree. I think it's 5 to 7 in Florida. I don't smoke, but they were talking about it on Breaking Points. I guess that's not horribly priced as far as Florida goes. The $20 in New York City is probably because they just have a bunch of taxes on it. Could see that. I think California's similar. I just haven't looked at a pack of smokes in so long. They're never satisfied with themselves, like, ever. They can't accept where they are now and still accept they can improve too. Yeah, but there's also people that do that, but then it's like they're not really actually even, I guess, improving so much, or nothing's really changing. It's just more like an indulgence in the content. Kubota man driving Ray insane. Oh gosh. What's up, Unc? Happy to see you in here. That's for Mr. Pitt. I remember Paul Malls. They were long cigs. Yeah, Paul Malls. Oh my gosh. Oh God. Like, you're making me think of like Paul Malls with like the plastic vodka bottles. Oh man. Oh man. My parents smoked Pall Malls forever. Pall Malls. In Australia, we have a problem with counterfeit cigs and organized crime. Oh, really? Counterfeit cigarettes. Wow. Has the worst excise on takes. Oh, that makes sense. Got to support Brother Shah. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate that. And I know it's late for you over there in Florida. I guess it's not horribly late, 11:46 on a Friday. So it causes a problem with organized crime and fake cigarettes. That's the first I didn't even know they did that.
See, anytime we engage in some kind of self-help kind of thing, it actually is a coping mechanism to deal with some negativity within us. So let's say that I
Interesting.
feel...
So he's saying when we engage in self-help, it's a coping mechanism. So is he kind of saying self-improvement is a cope? Uh-oh.
Like I'm lazy. So then my mind looks at me and says, okay, I'm lazy. I need to do something about it. And then it's really tricky, right? Because your brain sees two options. One is that I can do something hard, or the other is I can do something easy. And we have to understand this. The brain has evolved to be lazy. The brain has evolved. Laziness is efficiency. We want to get the most yield out of the smallest investment. So then what happens is our brain is like, okay, I could like go to the gym, or I could watch a video about working out. And if I watch a video about working out, I will be more efficient when I go to the gym. There are all kinds of scams that we run in our mind to actually activate parts of our brain.
I think there's something to that. And it's kind of like it's like a prawn in a sort of way, especially when it comes to the high value man content. Like that, I think that was a thing, you know what I mean? Like, instead of people will just watch that and get a little hit from it.
That make us feel like we're making progress without actually making progress. That's how you become a self-development junkie or self-help junkie.
On this point of psychotherapy not being perfectly designed for men,
I'd say another 20 minutes, guys. We'll move over to the mountaineering video. That video.
And I was watching a clip before you arrived where a lady who's an author of a book that's just come out said that talking about our problems makes them worse. And I was wondering if that's true.
I can get behind that. I need to know what lady that is, because the next time your girlfriend or somebody is just like, hey, we need to talk about this, you can say, according to so-and-so, a distinguished scholar, talking about our problems makes them worse. And then, you can have some scholarly backups there. Fake cigarettes from China. Gosh. Yeah, oh my gosh, that would not be good. Paul Wall is that how Paul Wall got his name? The fake cigs problem is like America's prohibition on alcohol. It only creates black market and mafia. Wow. The strange thing about the psychological self-help space is that it views never being satisfied as virtuous. It keeps the people involved in an endless loop. That's a really great point too, Mr. Pitt. And sounds like you're talking about the psychological self-help space, but you can say that about the self-improvement space too, right? It's just like it's never enough. Some people probably say there is no such thing as taking a breath and saying, oh, I finally did it or whatever. There's always the next thing and the next thing. I don't know. I think there's something to that. There's something to thinking about is when is it okay to be you and say this is I'm okay with this, you know? Maybe I'm okay with the pension job, you know, and I'm fine with that. Whatever, you got a girlfriend or something and you get dates every now and then, like maybe you don't need to be on the yacht with 50 chicks. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it really is up to you. Great point from I Really Want to Know podcast to Mr. Pitt. I think that's kind of what I was getting at, Mr. Pitt, but you expressed it more eloquently. Hats off, my man. Hats off to Mr. Pitt.
It can be. So I think this is a big problem, is that talking about our problems can absolutely make things worse. So
see, this is where depressed people can be very annoying. And to anybody who's struggling with depression, I mean, hey, man, I'm really rooting for you to get out of that. But there are some depressed people that what they will want to do is just talk to you about things. And they're kind of using you almost like an emotional vampire. And then they just talk about, and it's just like the same thing over and over again. And like, you don't want to like be within that sphere of gravity. Like, and not to be insensitive, but sometimes it's just like, man, I sometimes cannot stand depressed people. And I've been depressed myself, you know, but it's like, I can't, like me in my life, I'm like, oh, this person's depressed. Well, I gotta go. You know, I'm going to have to just dip out. Good luck to you, but I don't need to, you know, you to be around me. Or if you go on a date, or if it's like with women and the woman's depressed, like people who are looking for love to get out of depression, that just doesn't make any sense to me, you know? And it's just like, oh, you're depressed? Well, you know, you're going to have to work on that because it's just, I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like really insensitive, but if you're just like, if there's like one depressed person around you and everybody else is fine, like it is just this like black hole of negativity. You know what I mean? But you know, I guess that's depressed people who really express it in like the most annoying way. I mean, I'm sure there's depressed people who do their best not to be like that, you know? Don't take SSRIs if you have depression. Misery loves company. Absolutely. Great point.
let's understand a couple of things. So the first is that there's this assumption that talking about your problems makes them better, but there are actually very specific things that need to happen in order for talking about your problems to make things better. The most important thing is something called an emotional catharsis. So this is where you have like a breakthrough in therapy. So there's like this moment where there's a lot of dormant stuff.
I do think that,
and Freud even described this.
I do think that is something like a catharsis is a thing, you know, and after that you could feel better. And that's not just something that happens sitting and talking to some therapist. That, you know, writing your dreams down, again, I mentioned this twice now already, but you could have a dream that's so powerful that it unknots these things, and it can be cathartic, you know. Real quick, Cesar Quintana says, thank you so much for the super chat again, sir. Remember, Dr. Manhattan Shah, life is a highly overrated phenomenon. Yeah, let me pull up Dr. Manhattan. I think we showed him once on here. I feel like, oh God, yeah. I mean, that's so funny, Manhattan. I think I sent this to Raymond once. Oh yeah, now I remember, Caesar. Now I remember. Gosh, where is the meme? Here it is. It's right here. In my opinion, it's a highly overrated phenomenon. Mars gets along perfectly without so much as a microorganism. I got to go back and watch all those things. I must admit, I don't have familiarity with any of those comic books or anything like that. Sounds pretty funny though. Comparison is also a huge factor. That's true. Totally fun at parties. It isn't a popular thought process, but most people, not all, that are chronically depressed don't really look outside of themselves, and it is usually always about me. I think you're right about that. And what'll happen is, like, you might try to point that out to them and be like, hey, well, you know, maybe it's this, man. Like, have you tried doing this differently? And like, if they're not ready for that or whatever, they just might like get angry at you, you know, God forbid, or just get really annoyed. And then, you know, but yeah, you know, definitely, you know, like, I get trying to help people and all that stuff. It's maybe worth it, you know, but yeah, some people just don't want to hear it Comparison is also a huge factor. Cathartic experience. Yes, cathartic. For some people, deletion is that. Oh no. I was taught that extreme, overwhelming violence is usually the answer to problems in certain contexts. Well, maybe violence, like other things, is a tool, you know, and certain contexts call for that tool to be deployed or used. So we do live in a world where that is a reality.
You have this moment of very, very intense emotion that is relatively new. Or, I mean, it's kind of dormant, but it's not like venting. We'll get to venting in a second. And so there's a particular way we have to talk about problems that triggers emotional catharsis. Emotional catharsis creates something called, like a breakthrough. So this is also like an experience. So this is not just talking about my problems. This is experiencing my problems in a different way. So it's kind of like touching the hot pan. Usually it's kind of painful. So when we're doing like work with a trauma survivor, we don't want to just talk about the trauma. We want to sort of dig into it a little bit more and have an emotionally healing experience. The real problem is that sometimes what'll happen is people will just talk about their problems. So they'll use therapy as essentially like a venting session. And venting, if we look at kind of the neuroscience of venting, venting is useful for reducing our negative emotion in the moment. But this is the really tricky thing. If we kind of think about it, you know, like I'll ask you, maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but why do we have negative emotions, Stephen?
It's a signal.
For what?
Imbalance.
I would guess that depends on the negative emotion, but I guess it's a signal that is there to help us connect with people.
Oh, okay, so
Well, maybe not even just people, but the people around you. Though a lot of emotions can be centered around people. Let's see, where are we at here? Here he goes again, talking about feel, experience, all feminine crap from Luke. Closure for the trauma. Vade Retro, Satana 91, yup. Shout out to you.
I think it can be, sure.
Loneliness.
Loneliness is a great example of a signal that's designed to connect with you. What about something like anger or fear? Why do we have fear?
To warn us against impending danger.
Absolutely, right? So if I'm like running through the jungle and I see a tiger and I have fear, fear gives us information, and what else does it do?
Gives us a physiological energy and
Very
reaction,
good.
adrenaline.
Absolutely. For what purpose?
To flee.
Absolutely. So this is a big thing that people don't understand. The primary motivator for change is actually negative energy, a negative emotion. So this is the problem with venting. If you vent and get rid of all of your negative emotional
See, that's kind of where hanging out with the depressed people gets annoying, because really what they're doing is they're just venting to you. And that's taking up your energy. And then they're just venting to you, and then nothing gets solved, kind of like what he's talking about. And then it's just like, oh no, like I don't have the charge to want to deal with this person venting. Maybe venting is good sometimes to possibly prevent a catastrophe, but it's like if nothing's changing after a while, then it's just too much. You know what helped me with some severe trauma? Don't laugh. Rapid eye movement therapy. Nothing with what he's talking about. That's really interesting. Fear is a flight or fight response. I never heard about that. Rapid eye movement therapy. Let's look that up. It almost kind of reminds me of REM sleep. And REM sleep, again, is when we're having dreams. So what would rapid eye movement therapy be? I mean, that's essentially REM, but it's like REM while you're awake? What is that? Come on, Google. All right. Rapid eye movement therapy, more accurately known as eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, is a mental health treatment that helps individuals process traumatic memories and other distressing life experiences. It involves focusing on a traumatic memory while simultaneously experiencing bilateral stimulation, such as side-to-side eye movements, hand tapping, or auditory tones. This process is believed to help the brain reprocess and integrate the traumatic memory, reducing its emotional impact. That's really interesting. Kind of reminds me of something, and I don't really know if it has to do with this, but man, there used to be these way back in the day, like I was still in college, man. We're talking about like 13 years ago or something. But or is it just that? Yeah, it's like, yeah, towards the end of it. And I remember I had a buddy since like middle school. I actually talked to him today, and we're gonna hang out soon. But he joined the army, and he was in Iraq. And I remember he came back home, and we were both living in the same apartment complex for a little bit. And he came over one night, and we were chilling, and we were just talking about all this kind of random stuff. We were smoking some hookah too back then. And I showed him these binaural beats, and I'm like, dude, listen to this, and it gives you, like, you will get more intense dreams, because we were talking about that. And I was, getting into this stuff back then. And he was listening to it, and he was telling me that he had, like, this very vivid dream of being in Iraq again, and he was, like, driving the Humvee or whatever it was, and he can feel the steering wheel. He said it felt so real. So I wonder, Luke, if this is something where you do something like this and it kind of helps you get back into that moment to sort of process those things. That's really interesting. REM hurts everybody. Like, you need REM sleep. Sometimes everybody dries. Everybody hurts sometimes. Oh, okay. Drake song, Enemies. Oh man, I love smoking hookah. Yeah, that was another thing I had to give up. I used to have one, but then it was just like, I can't have this because, like, I feel like doing any kind of vice by yourself is just not, like, if I'm gonna smoke cigars, I'd like to be with some folks, or with some friends. That's fun. But same thing with hookah. Like, hookah with friends is different, but by yourself, it's like, what are you doing, man? So let's see what else we can get here. How it works. EMDR therapy aims to facilitate the natural healing process of the mind, similar to how the mind processes memories during REM sleep. Okay, so it is related. The therapist guides the client through a series of eye movements or other forms of bilateral stimulation while they focus on a specific traumatic memory. This dual attention to the memory and the external stimulus is thought to help the brain reprocess memory, leading to a reduction in its emotional intensity and associated distress. Let's see. It's a song by REM. I don't know it, man. Everybody hurts. I'll have to listen to it. REM sounds familiar. Dude, flashbacks are no joke. You can feel, see, smell. Man, that's something, man. It's like you're there again. Kind of reminds me of, like, near-death experiences. And people will say, like, when they thought they were going to die, like, they went through this instantaneous life review where it's like their whole life flashed before their eyes. It's probably like something like that. Prawn addiction also releases chemical urges, which is funneled more productively, can motivate you to do and be a more attractive individual. I don't know. It could be just like venting. Maybe it's more just like the depressed person venting, and then it doesn't solve anything, right? Like, I don't know. That's an interesting way to look at it, though, Trevor, I could see you being like a biohacker. You ever heard of a biohacker? I used to have this coworker, and he was just so into biohacking and, like, finding ways. Maybe that's what Huberman did. I don't really watch Huberman. Typical examples of biohacking: molecular biohacking, technology-based aging. Oh, come on, man, give us a better biohack. Wow. Intermittent fasting, wearable technology. I don't know. I could just see you being into that, man. You're, like, very analytical. EMDR, the therapist asks you to think about the experience. You don't say anything, and they move a finger from side to side. It's freaky. Sounds almost like a kind of hypnosis. That's actually really cool. I'll have to read about that more. See, this is another thing that, like, I want to add to my list of things I'm trying to learn. EMDR therapy. Very interesting. Okay. Songs from 1991, before your time. Yeah, man. I was just born right at 90, so a little bit before my time. But I like older music.
Energy, the drive to change will disappear. So if we kind of think about it, what motivates you the most? It's actually negative emotion. And you can literally look at the neuroanatomy of things like the amygdala. So the amygdala is very close to the hippocampus, which is where learning and memory happen. So we actually learn the most through negative emotions. So if I've been happily married for 15 years and there's infidelity, right? One case of infidelity. The negative emotion from that one case of infidelity can drastically motivate me. So one of the biggest problems that I see is that we try to get rid of our negative emotions, and in doing so, we actually hamstring our motivational capability.
Okay, well, that was interesting. Let's just see what else we got here on the you old list. How society promotes deficiencies, why couples get comfortable and have less sex, how to find love, the science behind attraction, should you plan sex, how overexposure affects our emotions, how to keep sex exciting when it feels like a chore, the dangers of devices in relationships, are Gen Z more connected than ever, are people becoming more narcissistic, the epidemic of loneliness. All right, that might be kind of what we were kind of getting at here with the loneliness thing. Maybe we'll start here and we'll watch this all the way through epidemic of loneliness. And then we can, you know, we can just see where we're at.
Are you hopeful about Generation Z that have been connected from birth?
Yeah. So I think that even though things are problematic, right? We're talking about how things are negative and social anxiety is increasing and suicidality is increasing. I'm very optimistic because I think we have all the answers. Like, that's what's so cool. Like, we have a problem, but we haven't been addressing it directly. Even between the last time I was here and now, we've learned so much more. People are taking social stuff more seriously. The Surgeon General of the United States released like this bulletin on the loneliness epidemic, right? So even like the medical establishment is starting to see loneliness as a problem that we need to target. Half of the problems that we see in the world today is because we haven't tried to fix them. They kind of crept up on us. Things like video game addiction, things like loneliness. Now we see, okay, this is a big problem, so let's start devoting resources to it. Let's understand what's going on. And we see this a lot, like even in our community, like where we start targeting a problem and people do better. The only reason we're losing the war is because we haven't been fighting back.
Why haven't we been fighting back? Technologies must play a pretty significant role in this.
I think we were slow. We're really good at creating things without understanding what they will do to us.
Because the impact doesn't show its face for a couple of decades sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's an even more insidious thing, which is right now, since it's isolation, like since we're seeing more isolation, we don't see the impact because literally these people are staying home. So the majority of young men, for example, like won't ever go to a therapist, which is why we can't help them with their problems. They won't share their problems with other people.
Well, most of the therapists are women too, so I don't know. We should probably think of a better way about doing. You know, it's interesting. Like, I guess when you think about society, I mean, there used to be other spaces for this. You know, maybe there was the Boy Scouts and things like that. I don't know if YMCA used to serve a purpose like that. I guess what kind of filled the void is some people, like, this is where, like, Joe Rogan and, like, UFC or, like, joining a dojo probably is a thing for a lot of guys, you know, or joining some kind of sports or something like that. Men-only bars. Let me put that as a poll. Do you guys want to see male-only bars come back? Do you want to see male-only bars come back? Okay. Real quick, I just gotta let my cat in. She might derail things, but I haven't seen her. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I miss anything? Sex becoming a chore. I'm sure Ray would love that video. I don't suggest men go to therapists unless it is actually a serious thing. I agree with you on that.
Because first of all, they don't know how to. And secondly, they don't even know what they're feeling, so that they just like feel like they're a loser. So what we've started to see is that these problems have been going on for about 10, 20 years, but they're now reaching a critical point where like we're now noticing what's going on. But this has been going on for a while.
Most therapists won't help men really. Most of them actually have been taught to low-key blame men, hate men. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Unless I hate, there's not enough male therapists out there, and it's just like I wouldn't care to talk about that with someone who can't relate to what I'm going through. So I have more trust in it if I feel like the person has experience with it, and this is where guys just being there for each other is probably better than, talking to some therapist. Rem on your Discord. I'll check it out.
Are people becoming more narcissistic?
Yes.
They are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what impact is that having?
I don't even know where to start. Like, so I think it's affecting our relationships. It's affecting our happiness. It's affecting our professional ability.
I was thinking, is social media making us more narcissistic?
Absolutely.
And is that then driving us to be more lonely? And if so, how do we first define the word narcissism in this context?
Yeah, so I'm going to lean
Okay, narcissism on the rise because of social media. Even the male therapists often are gynocentrically and feminine driven. Yeah, I could see that too, just because they're licensed, you know what I mean? And it's like they have to practice in a way that is determined by the leading schools of thought or whatever gets them this licensing. And if they deviate from it, then they might lose their therapy license. Men-only bars would just be a place for guys to vent to other guys. No thanks. Don't get me anywhere near a drunk guy. I mean, what if it was like the pubs back in like England? You know what I mean? Just like, I've never been to one of those, but it sounds like it could be fun, Male therapists.
into kind of a more yogic definition. So we have this word in Sanskrit called ahamkara. And ahamkara means ego. So ahamkara is your sense of self. I am ... Okay? So I am tall, I am short, I am doctor, I am father, I am winner, I am loser. The first thing to understand about ego is that it is not a real thing. It is an abstraction. So if you were to look at...
I hear that again.
I am yogic definition. So we have this word in Sanskrit called ahamkara. And ahamkara means ego. So ahamkara is your sense of self. I am ... Okay? So I am tall, I am short, I am doctor, I am father, I am winner, I am loser. The first thing to understand about ego is that it is not a real thing. It is an abstraction. So if you were to look at me and you say, if I say I am a doctor, I know this sounds kind of a weird question, but is that true? Like, what makes me a doctor? I can't biopsy myself and find doctor. You can't find doctor anywhere within me. Doctor is I have a piece of paper on a wall. That's what makes me a doctor. I have a license to practice medicine. That's what makes me a doctor. It's an
Well, you have the training and experience of a doctor, so it's also the experience of it and the knowledge and the wisdom.
abstraction. So it's not like a truth. It's like a societal shared delusion that we all agree that I'm a doctor. That's why I'm a doctor. Okay?
Probably you're also a doctor if you're able to solve medical problems for people with actual results. And they're like, okay, this is a doctor. I mean, you're a mechanic if you can fix cars. And I don't care about the piece of paper in your shop wall or whatever. If you can fix cars, then congratulations, you're a car mechanic,
And does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So this is the ego. Now, what we also know is that from studies on narcissism, that narcissism has its roots in insecurity. So if you think about someone who's like egotistical and confident, like Stephen, I'm sure you know both, what's the difference between the two?
Confidence feels more secure and egotisticalness feels more insecure.
Absolutely. Where does a confident person's esteem come from?
Inside.
Where does a egotistical's esteem come from?
Outside.
Beautiful. So this is what social media is doing. Social media and technology is externalizing our perception. So if I think about it, think about a couple thousand years ago, what was my mind focused on? So I would go out to hunt. I'm looking for an animal. I shoot a deer. And then I walk 3 hours back. So for some amount of time, my mind is paying attention to the external environment. Maybe I'm talking with the people that I'm hunting with. But what is there to say? Like, I can't talk to them for 10 hours a day. There's no substance, there's no news right? We're like this tribal community.
Well, there might be news. Like, hey, man, I was out yesterday by the river and you wouldn't believe it. I saw a bear I saw bear tracks and I saw a big old thing of bear dookie. There was a lot of stuff. I saw little berry seeds in there too. So there might be a blackberry bush around here and there also might be a bear nearby. That's news. Things happen. You know, it's not just, come on, man. Things happen. There is news. Hey, man, I was over here practicing with my bow and arrow and I saw like 2 people looking at us from like over like cresting like that hill over there. And I didn't recognize who they were. There may be another tribe afoot. Something to be aware of. I mean, there's stuff to talk about. Come on now. Hey, I was over there. I was in the cave and I fell asleep and I had a vision of some divine being and it said that we should probably build something over there like a kind of altar. And it needs to be this long and it needs to be this many cubits and it needs to be made out of this. I don't know. Like, things happen in the world. Of course there's news.
So if you really look at the history of humanity, our perception has been internally focused at least 50% of the time. Literally what we are paying attention to is our own thoughts, our own feelings, the voices, the desires, the drives that come within us. What technology has done is whole-scale externalize our perception. And this is even where, like, you know,
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I could say, like, I guess if you think about it, like, if you're just doom scrolling all day and you're just so it's just TikTok reel after TikTok reel, IG reel, IG reel. Okay, let me scroll through Twitter now. Twitter, dating apps, left, right, whatever. That is all taking away from the amount of time that you would just be alone with your thoughts, you know, because it's all, your consciousness is being drawn towards whatever is on the screen. So, I mean, maybe there's something there. Luke says, now have him explain away with his nonsense that I'm a soldier. It is internal or external, experiential and psychological. I'm somewhat of an expert myself. I am an engineer, my boy Mutaha. Did you see Bigfoot? That guy needs more guy friends. We talk about all sorts of things. We are actually quite complex and quite deeply intellectual and philosophical. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. You know, while you're there holding your bow and arrows and you guys are walking out, you know, towards where you guys want to go hunt that day. The only time, I mean, you know, like, it's just like, unless you're like on the trail of something, then you're probably really quiet. But for the most part, it may be fake news propaganda. F TikTok, Twitter, IG. Shout out to you, man. Who uses that?
Used to be like an efficiency junkie. And so when I was in med school, I was gonna be like you, Stephen, and I was gonna be super efficient. I was gonna be super successful. So I was like listening to a podcast in the morning about self-help.
Okay, we're getting to epidemic.
I was gonna listen to lectures on my way to the subway. I was gonna read on the way on the subway. I was gonna listen to a lecture on my way to the classroom, pay attention in the classroom, then do some questions, like some test questions, whatever. So my mind was constantly outside of me. Social media makes this even worse because now we're doom scrolling, we're looking at what other people are doing. So we are starting to exist outside of ourselves. Once we exist outside of ourselves,
I immediately just thought of like Alex Jones and the AI singularity coming to plug in all the people into one singular unified consciousness that pretty much vampires off of us and feeds it into some super being or something like that.
All of our esteem comes from the outside world because that's where we're spending our time. So what's happening is as we become more externalized, we're becoming insecure because where does confidence really come from? It doesn't come from inside. This is a big mistake a lot of people don't realize, which is if you do really well and you don't believe in yourself, you don't become secure. A lot of people think that becoming secure is about being successful. That's not the case. If you're really successful, you don't end up with security. You end up with imposter syndrome. So I went to Tufts for medical school and I did my residency training at Harvard. And what I saw is that the more successful you become, that increases the rate of imposter syndrome. There's way more imposter syndrome at Harvard than there is at the University of Texas. There's way more imposter syndrome at a place like Goldman Sachs than there is at Bank of America. So lots of success actually creates this idea that I don't really know if I can do this. oh, everyone else is so much better than me. So we see actually lots of success leads to imposter syndrome.
I guess it depends. Like, is that really success, or is that just these kind of societal markers that are supposed to signify success? You finished Harvard or whatever, but have you actually accomplished anything? You've gotten a job at Goldman Sachs and you're punching in numbers. Have you actually accomplished anything? Was it dangerous? Was it scary to do all those things? Or were you just kind of tediously, diligently doing something for years until you finally hit the sort of proverbial finish line? But have you actually done anything that's like a real victory that was scary? You didn't know if you were going to make it or not, or if it was going to be successful or not. So I would think imposter syndrome is probably more likely to manifest where the quote unquote success isn't really a real success, but it's like a cosplayed success, if I can borrow that term.
Confidence doesn't come from success, it comes from surviving failure. It's also far more internal. So it's not something that anyone else gives you. It's like when you believe in yourself, then you're confident. And
okay. Luke says, right, on patrol we didn't talk unless it was command and control or necessary for warning. But when we were kicking back after the patrol, maintenance and such, we talked about everything. I'm sure with the hunting example, it's probably about the same. This dude is a sad mess of wannabe smart and psychobabble bull. I have not even used Facebook in like 10 years. I think Facebook for like Facebook Marketplace can be pretty good sometimes, you know? He's talking about his Smartsies colleagues, the ones with all the letters after their name that they think makes them. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, okay, congratulations, Tufts College, Harvard. Like, shout out to you, man. But completing those series of certifications is, you could say it's an accomplishment, but is it a success? Are you successful after that? No, I mean, you've just been trained, I guess you can say. But have you gone out into the world and done things and accomplished things and built things? So, you know, imposter syndrome would come out there. And even for like a job, like, oh, I got hired at Goldman Sachs and I'm a investment banker or whatever those guys do over there. And, you know, I got trained and I'm part of the team and I'm a great team member and we're doing the things and I was in the meetings. I don't know though. Like, are you actually the guy, you know, that's making these decisions to where if the whole thing, if it's like a big gamble or whatever it is, and you might make it double or triple whatever the money is, or you might lose it all. I don't know, you know, what's the difference? Or lose some of it or gain some? Or are you just tediously doing work, you know? I think Facebook is dead. No one I know posts on it anymore. Yeah, I don't, Facebook for like posts, I don't either. Like I would just, you know, like Marketplace and just kind of existing there, you know, sort of. And like Facebook dating sometimes, you know, it's the one that doesn't charge you. Is it the, you know, I don't know. Luke Nielsen says we used to, like, I don't think, like, they've had to expand to a bunch of other things. And now Facebook is like almost like an Instagram with reels and things. So it's like they had to do that to keep up. So I think it's just like people from an older generation are just kind of still on there. Like, so it's, I don't really use it too much, but I have it. And sometimes, you know, like Marketplace is good. Dating can be okay. And then they do have like some groups, but you can probably find those in other places too.
And the beautiful thing is that
we used to call that street cred. In the military, it's called accomplishment. But even that has been watered down these days.
once you believe in yourself, then other people can think whatever they want to about you.
I think you only believe in yourself once you have real experience of actually doing and accomplishing things and actually having real successes, not just the letters behind your name.
The way that you receive criticism, if you criticize an egotistical person, they will argue with you and convince you that you're wrong and call you stupid. Whereas if you're confident, someone says, hey, you're an idiot, I can say, okay, help me understand why. Like, I could be an idiot. Help me understand. Right? So this is where what social media is doing is externalizing our perception.
All right, we're almost to the epidemic of loneliness. Then we're going to be moving to the mountain video.
Building our ego. We're so focused on the judgment of other people. I see the amount of body, like subtle, low-level body dysmorphia that I see in young women is skyrocketing. And I have a buddy who's a plastic surgeon at Yale, and he's just stunned by you have now young women in their 25, 26, 27 who are getting plastic surgery like on a yearly basis, like small amounts of Botox injections or lip fillers or like whatever.
Men too.
Men too. So that's also what the other great equality thing we're seeing is body dysmorphia has a meteoric rise within men. This is another situation where it used to be primarily a female diagnosis that's evening out real quick. So social
That's interesting.
media is making us focused on our external appearance. We lose our connection to ourselves. And then once we lose our connection to ourselves, we lose the capacity to gain confidence.
And how does this then result in loneliness on a societal level?
It's so many different things. So the first reason it makes us lonely, so this is
Okay, loneliness epidemic.
I've also seen the highest level of being around people and being lonely. So I see so many people who have jobs, even have girlfriends, boyfriends, have friends, and they feel so incredibly lonely. So what happens when we are externally focused, right? So if I'm lonely, like I need to put myself out there. So what I'm gonna do is transform myself. And this is where it's so interesting because a lot of the guidance we give people helps in some way, but actually worsens the problem. So if I'm lonely, I'm gonna focus on my social skills, I'm gonna get a good haircut, I'm gonna learn how to dress.
Okay, that's the self-improvement.
I'm gonna start working out, I'm gonna become professionally successful. And now I've become something that I can be proud of. And now that I've become something that I can be proud of, I'm gonna go interact with other people and look at they're going to love me because now I'm sexy and I'm successful and I know how to talk to people and I'm going to talk to them in this way and I'm going to do eye contact and I'm going
Okay, interesting switch from Western accent to Indian accent.
the things
Why are you doing that accent?
Oh, I'm glad he asked that.
to connect with you, to make you like me, right? See, now you're laughing, so now I feel okay.
Okay, there you go.
Because now I know, oh, Steven's laughing. He likes me, I'm likable. So what we actually do is we create a false version of ourselves for people to love. And that's what really screws us because they don't fall in love with us. They don't like us. They don't like the broken, pathetic kid that I used to be. They like this glossy, polished version. And that creates a fundamental.
Luke Nielsen says, I think he has mental issues. Mr. Bollywood, yeah. Agreed. Facebook is done for. The party may have moved to Instagram.
Mental loneliness, even though you can be dating. It's so interesting because I'll work with influencers. Like we have a creator coaching program. And like it's so hard for influencers to date because who is are you falling in love with the influencer? Are you falling in love with Diary of a CEO host? Or are you falling in love with Steven? Right? Is it Dr. K or is it Alok? So this is what's really paradoxical is that we think that forming all of these connections will help our loneliness, where oftentimes it creates the opposite effect, where now what they love is a version of me, not the real me. And now the problem is they love this polished version. What happens if I show them the ugly version? They won't accept me. I can never show it to them.
This is what I noticed in my own life. I noticed that before 25, I was a total failure with women. And before 25, the real defining characteristic of that chapter of my life was all the external stuff, like the Louis Vuitton bag, the champagne bottles in the nightclub, the really trying really, really hard to convince them. And then after 25, I had much more success with women. And that chapter of my life can be characterized by knowing who I was and being cool with it. All the stuff seemed to fall away. Like all the external stuff seemed to fall away. And for some reason, because I talk to my friends who are struggling with dating at the moment about this, just to see if it can help them in any way. The chapter of my life where I was reading those books, they're like pickup artistry books, and I was trying really hard, was my most unsuccessful. But the phase after where I stopped chasing so much, the only way I can describe it is there's like 1,000 little micro things in me that changed. Whether it's my posture, the way that I don't know what it was, but for me, it's that season of insecurity and then the season of confidence. And I'm just throwing that out there because
I wonder how much of it too, well, some people will probably disagree with me. It sounds like he was out there doing stuff, but part of it is just like being that age and being that young, there is just a lot of insecurity and lack of confidence naturally because you're in a world where there's more grown, mature people and you're coming into yourself. And then when you know, for him, he hit 25 and then he just got a little bit more comfortable with it. But let's see.
It kind of overlaps with what you were saying about the influence.
Like when you're younger, you know, it's you can be way more intimidated by things or just way more worried or in your mind about things. But as you get older and you get more experience, it's like you're just not worried about those things like you used to be worried about them back then. He was doing it for the curry cells. Most psychologists, therapists actually are quite broken, and that's why they do what they do. They're still trying to fix themselves. I can hear that. I think a lot of people probably get into psychology because of something like that, which is equally as cringe. Oh, IG. I got past the image projection thing mostly when I realized I was a dead man. Facing your own death gives you an interesting perspective on things. I'm sure it does. I mean, it probably makes you focus on things that are probably more real or just, I don't know, maybe more genuine or something that you actually want to do than maybe doing things for other people or how they view you. I'm not saying I don't have ego too, but it really and drastically changes your perspective. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us have ego regardless of how spiritually enlightened we are. I think it's always a constant thing to try to, you know, mitigate that. And it's part of human. You're not human if you don't have some ego, but putting it in its proper place is I think, the important thing. And, you know, just keeping it tempered.
And when you're trying too hard, you're actually struggling the most today. And if you see this in your practice.
Now, hold on a second. So let's define success. So when you were doing Louis Vuitton bags and pre-25, were you going on dates?
I was going to the club every 2 times a week and ordering as much champagne as I could to get people to come to my table and to impress the girls that were at my table and stuff.
Did it work?
Well, all the girls that I wanted never wanted me back. So the 4 girls that I really pursued, I could name them, but I probably shouldn't. I could never get them to be in a relationship with me. They wouldn't. I would have short-term success, and then they would never.
There we go. So this is really important, right? So this goes back to what we were saying. Short-term success is thalamic, right? So that's sensory perception. So you could never get into a relationship. So this is perfect, right? So let's understand. So champagne will get them to come to the table. Oh, who's this?
Yeah. Bring them back to the apartment.
Right? and you can get somewhere. But think about where you were emotionally and where they were emotionally. You were like, oh, please, please, please. Right? And that's not where they are emotionally. So it's doomed to failure.
Yeah.
So I was just using that because it's a prime example of, and then what happens is you're confident. So you're meeting them where they're at. You're a little bit confident. Hopefully they're a little bit confident. You form a connection. And just doing a little bit of math, it sounds like you've been dating your current girlfriend for a couple of years now. It sounds like it didn't take long from you being confident to find someone that you've been with.
Exactly.
Right?
I've been with her for almost 6 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy. Yeah. Once you do it right, you kind of get locked.
As soon as he said 6 years, I immediately thought of the subreddit Waiting to Wed. You know, that's the one with all the ladies that are just I've been with my boyfriend for 5 years and he still hasn't proposed yet. I wonder if Steven is dealing with
that. Real quick.
Oh, man.
Right? And same thing happened with me. So a couple of things. So first is this just goes back to, once again, we can take your test case with the neuroscience of how to fall in love and it maps on. And that's the beauty of science, is that it's true. Now, I even forget, so you were talking about security and insecurity. So now.
Okay, well, I think we've kind of seen enough of that. Let's just go ahead and see what the comments got to say. It got 90,000 likes 10 months ago. Oh, gosh. I'll put that back up. My gosh. All right, here we go. I've got a favor to ask. If you enjoy this, please... Oh, nope. Had a blast, Steven. Okay. Confidence comes from surviving failure. That was a gem. This is literally one of the absolute life-changing conversations on any podcast that I've ever heard. You have no idea how profound this was for me. You're not depressed, you're unhappy. There's a difference. He said a traumatic upbringing equals children can't plan for the future, and this is why I'm stuck, just a child getting older. It's time that I free myself. I needed to hear that. I think that the most common reason people are unhappy is because they're doing what is expected of them rather than listening to and fulfilling their own desires. Dr. K is the GOAT. Whoa, at 1:30, the part about trauma weakening your ability to plan for the future, that really clicked for me. Best DOAC ever. In fact, the best experience I've had with any format of learning in my 46 years on this planet. All for free in the comfort of my home. Thank you, Dr. Alloc, and well done, Stephen. Well done. So a lot of people liked it. A lot of people liked it. Now we can move over to Black Widow. So this is going to be our fun video. It's going to be our fun video for tonight.
Al-Madwi was standing on the peak.
Oh, crap. I never ended that last poll. Let me just do that. End poll. There we go. Do you want to see? It's pretty much 50-50 on male-only bars coming back. Dang. Man, that's interesting. That is freaking interesting right there. I don't know. It just seems to be such a thing that people enjoyed in the past. They're just like, give me my male-only bar. That's weird. All right. Well, let's hear about this French lady and what she did.
Chantal Madwi was standing on the peak of K2, the killer mountain, unable to see anything. She'd been blinded by the insane levels of UV radiation and now stood no chance of descending from 8,600 meters by herself. There was no one around to help. Panicked, Chantal hid inside a snow cave and was slowly dying. Would anyone come to find her? Would anyone put their own life on the line to save the Black Widow of mountaineering? This is the story of a notorious French female mountaineer, Chantal Madwi, who kept walking a razor's edge. So, viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was muted because I was eating watermelon. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I hope you guys enjoy this. It's just a fun video, but there's like some serious moments in here of like some super simping. Some big time simping. So I figured why not share it with you guys? I think the turnoff is the alcohol. I hear that, man.
This could have been the beginning of a Hollywood biopic movie. 5-year-old Chantal's parents moved from Paris closer to the Alps, and the girl developed an interest in the mountains. At 15, she got into climbing, quickly earned a mountain guide certification, and conquered France's most challenging routes. At 22, Chantal came third in an ice climbing competition, beating Europe's best mountaineers, all of them men. After this, she was accepted into France's Federation of Mountaineering and Climbing, and the name of Chantal Madwi started gaining recognition in the community. However, the community members couldn't imagine what was lurking behind the girl's sweet smile. When Chantal
okay, here we go.
scaled Huascaran, the highest peak of the northern Andes, at almost 6,800 meters, she made her way back down on a paraglider. One of the other mountaineers was so impressed by her that he immediately invited Chantal to participate in his expedition to Mount Everest. At 27, she decided to conquer the world's highest mountain. Although she failed, Chantal agreed that going forward, she'd only climb 8,000ers. She possessed the necessary skills and training and was incredibly good at acclimating to the high altitudes with all their trials. There was something else, however, her beauty. Chantal was attractive, outgoing, fun, and approachable, and undoubtedly, sexy. Back then, mountaineering was still a predominantly male-dominated field, so the good-looking French lady enjoyed a lot of attention at climbing camps. And rest assured, Chantal used this power actively. She liked driving the men around her crazy and even provoking them. During Chantal's second attempt at conquering Everest, two mountaineers were so desperate to get her attention that they challenged each other to a fight and started.
This is sad as hell, man. This is sad as hell. Daisy IRL Himalayas. Simp Saves Girl Boss Mountain Edition. This is, oh yeah, that's gonna be in here like more than once.
Throwing rocks at each other. However, Chantal gave men attention when it benefited her. She never carried anything heavy in her backpack.
Like, look at that. Like, how does that really count as climbing the mountain if like you're having other people carry all the stuff? Like, come on now.
Taking a toy duck instead. All of the necessities were carried for her by men. Now, let's do some math. Mountaineering gear alone can weigh as much as 10 to 15 kilograms. And if we add clothes and food into the mix, that weight increases. In addition, since we're talking about climbing 8,000ers, climbers also need to carry oxygen tanks. The higher you go, the lower the air pressure and the less oxygen your body can extract from it. And after crossing the 8,000 meters mark, there's so little of it that your body can no longer function properly. It literally starts dying cell by cell. This threshold is called the death zone. After crossing...
Man, humans are interesting. You know, we do all kinds of stuff and then going into deep underwater. And I don't even want to say we, but people do all these kinds of things. Or like the splunkers, the guys that go into caves and just... Then there's like underwater parts in the caves. Then they got to swim through the water part and like make it through the other side. And then there's like a freaking tunnel that's like this big and they somehow squeeze through it. And it's just like, and there's a lot more stories of people not making it. Oh my goodness. Gonna dumbass over abroad. Oh, it gets way worse, Luke. The problem is that this sort of thing plagues the military, my man. It is a huge problem that no one is allowed to call out and address, really. Well, that's interesting to hear. So you must have seen that firsthand.
Crossing it, you cannot rest no matter how long you stay in one place. There, people lose their minds to hypoxia, cold temperatures, and desperation. Now, imagine you're a climber who's been scaling an 8,000er for days, if not weeks.
An 8,000er.
It's cold, there's snow, you're suffering from constant discomfort and tiredness, and someone's loading you up with extra kilos because they don't want to carry their own gear. But despite this behavior...
The not carrying their own gear part is so crazy to me.
Here on the part of Chantel, the men adored her. And a U.S. mountaineer, Thor Kieser, fell head over heels for her.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a single female tear a cohesive unit to shreds. Oh my gosh, that is just so crazy.
Surprisingly, Chantel reciprocated his feelings. If only Thor knew the steep
Oh, did she really reciprocate his feelings?
price he would pay for this fling. But his feelings. If only Thor knew the steep price he would pay for this fling. But for the time being, the two were dating and planning a shared ascent to a 3,000er, a peak named Fitzroy, located in Argentina. It was an expensive trip, so Chantel even had to lead some mountain tours to make some money. However, right before departure, she unexpectedly claimed she lacked the funds for the air ticket.
Oh no, I don't have my money.
Thor, being
God forbid,
madly in love, got another job as a pizza courier and made enough to cover his lover's travel expenses.
Wow, so she's just like, I don't have enough money, and then Thor's like, I'm gonna get a second job as a pizza guy, and I'm gonna pay for it, don't worry, baby.
But the moment the couple set out on their journey, Chantel's attitude to Thor drastically changed. She paid him virtually no heed. The man couldn't understand what was happening and kept trying to win his beloved woman's heart.
See, this is just why simping never works. This is why you don't bend over backwards.
However, with every new failed attempt at conquering the peak, things kept deteriorating. It was the 18th hour of yet another attempt. That whole time, Thor had been single-handedly plotting the route and carrying all the gear.
So he's planning everything, he's carrying everything, he's paying for this whole thing.
His muscles felt as if they were made out of lead, and all of his clothes were completely soaked in the rain. At about 11 p.m., Thor made it to a challenging area not far from the summit. He held on to a rock and was already transferring his weight onto it when suddenly he felt it move. The next moment, the boulder got dislodged and hurtled down toward Chantel. Kieser only had enough time to scream that she'd be careful when suddenly a rock fragment cut through his rope and the man plummeted from the ledge. He hit the rocks several times before being lucky enough to land 20 meters below. Thor was alive, but his face was badly injured and his right hand had multiple fractures. Luckily, the other mountaineers quickly came to the rescue and transported him to the base camp. What Thor found out there dealt him an additional emotional blow. Chantel said she no longer loved him.
This guy, man, he paid for everything. He's carrying all the stuff. He's planning out the route. He falls down 66 feet, breaks his like face, and then she's just like, baby, I don't love you no more. Oh, no.
In the morning with another team.
Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse.
Chantel said she no longer loved him and would depart for the summit in the morning with another team. Broken in every way, the man returned home and started his rehabilitation, but didn't stop thinking about Chantel. When she planned an ascent to the Killer Mountain, Thor immediately started looking for a place in her team. The peak the French climber set her sights on was one of the deadliest and most technically challenging summits in the world, K2. It's the world's second highest mountain, standing at 8,611 meters tall. There are several routes.
Hey, honestly, man, I'm gonna make it a poll. Have you met a woman like this before? Okay.
To its peak, but they all look like almost vertical walls of rock and ice. At the time, only 3 women had managed to conquer it. Of course, Chantel wanted to become the 4th. So she joined a Swiss team that had received a summiting permit. However, almost from the very start, the woman put her participation in the expedition at risk. The team's route started in Pakistan, a Muslim country with its own strict rules and regulations. There, women are prohibited from being in the street without a male chaperone or wearing revealing clothes. However, Chantel completely disregarded the rules by walking alone while wearing shorts. Apart from this, being disrespectful to the local customs. This could also pose a deadly threat to her as a foreigner. But, just like before, the woman got away with it and successfully made it to the K2 base camp.
Of course she got away with it. What a crazy story. Gamer says, love you, Shah. Thanks for being one of the boys. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love you too, gamer guy. Simping ain't easy. No, it is not. See, this is why I had to share the story with you. Isn't this like crazy? This is crazy. Guy's literally breaking his back trying to get lucky on the mountain. Oh man. Oh my God. There's probably like 10 other women that this guy could have just taken to the mountain with him that would have maybe really enjoyed their time up there and been a lot more pleasant to hang out with. She could at least suck out the poison after that sting. Sheesh. All right, hey, we're barely 7 minutes into this 18-minute video, so prepare for more.
There, she was welcomed by Thor. He joined a US-Soviet expedition, being on the same team as the best mountaineers.
Oh my God, Thor's back. Okay, so she's going to K2, and she's with some Swedish team, and then in comes Thor.
Do you have the stomach to watch a girl that you really love?
Successfully made it to the K2 base camp. There, she was welcomed by Thor. He joined a US-Soviet expedition, being on the same team as the best mountaineers of that time, including Ed Viesters, Scott Fisher, and Vladimir Beliberty.
So we got all the folks out here.
However, Chantel didn't even look at Thor. Instead, she was having fun with other men at the camp.
Oh man.
Do you have the stomach to watch a girl that you really love? Do you have the stomach to watch some motherfucker that got more money than you, that's more handsome than you, that's built more better than you? Fuck your bitch for a fee.
Yep, man. So Thor just, man, he's just looking for more. This guy fell down 66 feet. Now he's over here trying to win this woman back, and she's like hanging out with these other guys, and like he's climbing up K2, and like she's partying in the other tent. He can probably see like the silhouettes, from the lamps in there. Oh man, Slava Rusi. Brokeback Mountain, this guy, yeah, quite literally. Brokeback Mountain, this guy is getting screwed if I ever seen it. Fun with men. They don't have the stomach. No, they do not.
After acclimatization, both teams got started on their parallel routes to the top. At the same time, the Swiss and Chantel were planning to climb in the woman's usual alpine style. This means they didn't waste time and energy on carrying and installing ropes. The US team was the one to do that. And they noticed that the Swiss were insolent enough to use the safety lines the Americans had installed. However, when the Swiss team went for their first summit attempt, they were stopped by a...
I know. You know what, Mr. Pitt? You're right. Thor needs this. Thor needs this.
Montavious,
Yeah,
what's today's card of the day?
you gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on no girl.
Oh crap,
Just
my
stay
bad.
gaming.
One more
Hey, yo,
time.
Dontavious,
Yeah,
what's today's card of the day?
you gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
That's man. See, that's where he really messed up.
Storm. Chantel, on the other hand, didn't want to go back down, but according to the law,
All right, let's see what happened here.
it installed. However, when the Swiss team went for their first summit attempt, they were stopped by a storm. Chantel, on the other hand, didn't want to go back down, but according to the
Bro,
law,
could you imagine, like, you're on this Swiss team and like there's just this woman with you and then she's just like a complete like she will sell you out for a can of beans. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're with this predator. This predator is in the group and you don't know that. And she's just like super charming. Like, this is why like people that are just like super charming like that, you got to be like super suspicious of off the bat. You know what I mean?
laws of Pakistan, which had issued the climber team went for their first summit attempt, they were stopped by a storm. Chantel, on the other hand, didn't want to go back down, but according to the laws of Pakistan, which had issued the climbers a climbing permit for this peak, switching teams in the middle of an ascent was prohibited. So Chantel had to descend with the Swiss. However, that's when Thor came in with a desperate measure.
Oh, here comes Thor. Okay, Thor, what do you got for us, buddy?
He offered her to join their team. Of course, she said yes. The man was convinced he'd have a chance to
Now
get
this guy's abandoning his American team and then he's joining. Well, whatever. I don't know. I guess I don't know if the rest of the American team went back or not.
his lover back. But Chantel, of course, she
And
said
of course,
yes.
dude, she's all smiles. Like, as soon as he, like, you know, like when there's nothing and she's like, can I use this guy? Oh, I need you again. Then it's just like, it's just so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad.
They played us like a damn fiddle.
I just, you know.
The man was convinced he'd have a chance
There
to
it is. There's that smile. Oh, man.
get his lover back. But Chantel started an affair with Ed Viesters instead.
Oh, no. Oh, no. So he switched teams. He did all of that. And he thought he was going to get her back. And she started an affair while they were on top of the mountain. Oh, my. With the other guy.
Offered her to join their team. Of course, she said yes. The man was convinced he'd have a chance to get his lover back. But Chantel started an affair with Ed Viesters instead.
Oh, no.
Do you have the stomach?
We're going to listen to
watch
this
the
through a
girl that
second
you
time.
Really love? Do you have the stomach to watch some motherfucker that got more money than you, that's more handsome than you, that's built more better than you, fuck your bitch for a fee?
You know,
Anybody could fuck my bitch if the price is right. She happy to go get it. Baby, I'll be right back.
I'll say this. Thor's, like, if we're going to be charitable with Thor, which is very hard to do right now, all I'm going to say is that I think this happened in the 90s, okay? This is before the manosphere. This is before the red pill talking points went mainstream on the panel shows, all right? This is before the collective rage phase. This guy didn't know, you know, that I don't think A Voice for Men was active back then. This is like before that, you know, so there was a lot of flying blind going on back here. There was a lot of flying blind. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that. Oh my gosh. He was convinced he had a chance. I never liked when people try to act as if your life friends quickly. Major red flag. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Women like that too. That man, that is what they do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thor is that cow getting milked dry meme. Oh yeah. Man, she's not even that good looking. Just wow, have some self-respect. Man, you know, I will say though, like sometimes like there are some women where you might not expect it, but they somehow get that hook in real good. You know what I mean? So you gotta be ever vigilant.
They played us like a damn fiddle.
You got to be ever vigilant, you know, about that. But Hope as you get older, it gets better. Though this gentleman here seems like I don't know. It's just like, you know, I don't know. It's like Dumb and Dumber. I don't have the stomach. Hey, Mad Villainy, shout out to you, man. Yeah, this one is crazy. This one's crazy. Oh my God. So I have a chance. It's so perfect. More better makes me laugh every single time. You don't need manosphere and such to realize the Stitch is using you. I know. This guy fell 66 feet. 20 meters doesn't sound like a lot until you realize it's 66 feet on some hard, like, icy rocks. And then, if that wasn't enough, at base camp, she was like, I don't love you anymore. I don't love you. You know what I mean? And it was just like... And still, it's like he had, like, this is where, like, maybe a man's own quote unquote masculinity gets in the way, or like, this is really ego, because he's just trying to, like, prove it to himself, or he's just super heartbroken. He just can't get over her. This is where you got to talk to other women, you know. This is where you got to talk to other women. Let me just end this poll before we get back into this. Have you met a woman like this? 85% of you guys say yes. Yeah, I mean, you can put my vote in there too. I mean, I think most of us have. Yeah, sometimes a woman isn't objectively super hot, but she has a way about her. Just gets those claws in you. Yeah, like, she's, like, attractive enough, but there's just something. And I don't know if that's just super good girl game, or if it's just like that... Like, it's the love bombing or something, because big narcissists like this, when a narcissist makes you the object of her affections, they love bomb you like no normal, healthy person ever would. Because it's like, a narcissist thinks that they are the greatest thing in the world. And when a narcissist likes you, I guess, that is like, it blows up your ego. They're so good at blowing up your ego to, like, make you feel that way almost. Like, that's the trap. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of describing it, but they're so good at that. And then when they take that away, then that's where it's like a real drug withdrawal addiction type thing. Bro, 20 feet, you could die easily. Yeah. And this guy's I think he's like a little, I can't remember if he had, if he was like, he was probably middle-aged. I don't know if he had white hair or not. I can't remember at that time, but yeah, like, dude, that can be, all kinds of things can get broken and messed up. He broke his face, you know, like, man, it was just crazy. Mr. Pet says, she's cute. I'd fold her up. I'm not climbing a mountain for her, though. I'm just going to run game, and she'll do it for free. Shout out, man. Yeah, no. No, man. Smoke says, so I have a chance. I get what you're saying. The narc is actually the most self-conscious and know they're flawed. It's all an act and a mask. Absolutely. They're like the most miserable. They are the most miserable. Like, I know that. I know that from experience. It's crazy, too. It's crazy. And then, you know, they go and they find their next victim. And then eventually you understand that she is going to, like, rip that person's guts out. You know? So it's just, man, just best to extricate yourself. You know, it's really what you got to do. They actually hate themselves. They are externalizing and performing to get acceptance and whatnot to medicate their self-loathing. Very true. That is very true. All right, let's see what we got going on. We're not even halfway through this. And man, we have seen some major symptoms going on.
And rumor has it, not only with him. However, on July 20th, Ian was convinced he'd have a chance to get his lover back. But Chantel started an affair with Ed Viesters instead. And rumor has it, not only with him. However, on July...
This is a real do you have the stomach situation. So they're over there. See the snow on this screen? And then you got to go to base, you know, or whatever camp along the way. And you guys set up your tents and, like, you're in this tent. And then they're in the other tent. And it's a real, you know, just one of these situations.
Do you have the stomach?
I mean, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
28th, the Mountaineers gathered and trudged toward the summit in small groups. Thor, Ed, and Chantel reached Camp 3 in 2 days, but the weather on the mountain wasn't too welcoming, so Ed decided to join the other Mountaineers on the slope that day and go back down.
Okay, so Ed's dipping. Probably a good choice.
Chantel and Thor, they were now alone.
Oh my God. So the guy she's having an affair with is just, that guy, he hit it. You know what I'm saying? He hit it a few times. He was like, you know what? F this mountain, man. I'm ready to just go back and go chill at home. Have some beef stew, some beef bourguignon, you know, and all these kinds of things. Maybe a croissant with some, little cafe or whatever. Oh, wait, no, that guy was American. Never mind. And then now it's like Thor's like, this is my chance again. Okay.
Continued ignoring him. She still made Thor. They were now alone. And although she continued ignoring him, she still made him carry all her gear.
Oh my God. So she's ignoring him. You know, she's got him wrapped around her finger and she's like, I still want you to carry all my stuff though.
It was physically impossible to carry all of it. So very soon, Thor had to abandon almost all of their things, including both of their sleeping bags, ropes, and most of the food.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Never mess with tail when there is dangerous work going on. Never. Very true. I mean, especially the experiences you've had, like you've been in very high stress situations. Like you cannot, that's where the Dontavious advice really comes in. Like you have to stay focused on the gaming. You cannot focus on no girl. You know, this is heavy, high pressure gaming stuff going on right now. Coffee Joy says, she putting him on Cuck Mountain. Sheesh. Brutal. Wise words to Luke. He got that post-nut clarity. Oh yeah, he was just like, what am I doing up here? This is ridiculous. He smashed it a few times. He was like, you know what? I got plenty of nice ladies waiting for me at home. I don't need to be in this mess right now. I'm dipping. You know, please. He at that point he's probably like, what is it with this? You know, like he probably was just ready to just dip out. Even if nothing like this, like he's just like, what is it with this lady? Like what, you know what I mean? And then I was just like, all right, I'm about to dip. Then he probably got to the bottom of the mountain, was like, dang, he was just feeling it again. But then he's like, I'm down here already. I'm just gonna dip out. Luke says, even if nothing like this is happening, being distracted when your life is on the line, mistakes are easily made. Absolutely. Very, very true.
Only then did he manage to keep moving. This didn't matter at all, though, because they were still very far from the top, and it was almost nightfall. They had to sleep in the snow, and come morning, Thor had frostbite on his legs.
Oh my gosh.
Barely able to
now this guy's got frostbite.
Move. He decided to go back down to fetch his sleeping bag. The only thing he heard from Chantel was a demand to grab her bag as well. Keezer, still in love, followed the order.
Hey, while you go back down there, grab my bag also.
The demand to grab her bag as well. Keezer, still in love, followed the order. On his way back, he bumped into Alexei Nikiforov, who joined them on the way up. After another night under the stars, the three of them reached Camp 4.
Man, if they say she started having an affair with this Alexei guy, that's just going to be too much.
From there, the exhausted Thor started laying a path to the summit through a 50-centimeter layer of snow at dawn. Alexei was walking below him with Chantel. Each step at such an altitude.
This guy is literally carving the path in the 50-centimeter snow so she can, like, walk behind him. Like, what is the deal with laying the red carpet out for this woman all the way up to the top of the mountain?
Was literally sucking the energy out of a person. Chantel. Each step at such an altitude was literally sucking the energy out of a person. Just 200 meters from the top, Thor realized he completely run out, and his only chance of survival was to immediately descend.
Oh my God.
Chantel tried to talk him out of it, but luckily, he didn't change his decision.
So finally, he's just like, I'm dipping.
This sealed the fates of all three Mountaineers. Meanwhile, Chantel and Alexei continued their ascent, and at 5 p.m. on August 3rd, Chantel conquered K2. She was standing on the summit, dizzy with success and blind. During the ascent, she'd lost her sunglasses, and the sun rays reflecting off the snow caused a cornea burn, almost completely impairing her vision. She stood no chance of going back down by herself and didn't have a partner or even a satellite phone to call for help. Terrified and disoriented, Chantel, by some miracle, found a snow burrow dug by another mountaineer and just hid inside it. But it wasn't deliverance. It was more likely her future grave. Without a sleeping bag, Chantel started freezing fast, and the death zone was constantly sucking the remaining energy out of her. It looked like the end. However,
All right. You know what they say? There's always a simp. All right, what's gonna happen?
Chantel was somehow miraculously found by Nikiforov,
Okay.
who was descending from the top. He couldn't
Russian guy saw her on the way back down.
leave her to die, but she'd already gotten frostbite on her limbs and was in a half-conscious state, constantly falling asleep while walking. Assisting the descent of someone in that state from the top of K2
So would you guys say that Alexei is a chivalrous gentleman?
is a gargantuan task that could the descent of someone in that state from the top of K2 is a gargantuan task that could turn into suicide at any moment, especially when Chantel and Alexei reached the bottleneck. It's a narrow couloir overhung by giant ice blocks called Serex. Any moment, one of them might fall onto the mountaineers.
What does that mean, Luke? Alexei gonna simp hard out.
This wasn't even Alexei's most serious problem. The bottleneck's slope has a 60-degree angle.
Wow.
There was no chance he could descend without ropes, let alone literally carrying down the unconscious Chantel. And Nikiforov had ditched his own rope on his way to the top. But as it turned out, the rope had been found by Thor, who'd already passed this area
Wow.
and installed it on the bottleneck to make the descent easier for Chantel. So Alexei grabbed onto it, but the moment he started moving, a crampon got detached from his boot. He lost his balance, fell, and started sliding down the steep slope toward the abyss. But the rope installed by Thor caught him right on time. When Alexei reached Camp 4,
Thanks,
he was
Luke.
close to dying of mountain sickness, physical exhaustion, and the cold. He literally collapsed into the tent put up by Thor, who was barely alive himself due to having spent a long time in the death zone. But Nikiforov was alone. As it turned out, at some point, he left Chantel to descend by herself. Keezer was beside himself with worry, but realized that if he were to go searching for the woman,
He's still simping, man.
would surely die. In 45 minutes, Chantel appeared on the slope, her arms outstretched like a sleepwalker. Thor dragged her into the tent and started warming her feet and feeding her hot soup.
Man, there's a joke here somewhere. I just, you know, maybe y'all can help me out.
But none of these things brought comfort since the mountaineers were still in the death zone, where the body is incapable of recovering. 3 days passed, and Thor realized that time was running out for all three of them. They would either descend or inevitably die. So the trio got on their way. However, in 3 hours,
Dude, I can't remember if Thor lives or dies. I really can't.
they only managed to cover 60 meters. Upset, Thor started setting up a tent, and Alexei continued his descent alone, leaving the shelter given to him by Chantel and Keezer, although this was physically beyond his capacity. So the next morning, he radioed Ed Viesters and Scott Fisher, asking for help. They said they were on their way, and Thor was able to let off a sigh of relief. But he didn't know what happened the moment the two climbers left their camp. They tied themselves into a rope team and started their ascent. Suddenly, Ed felt the hairs on his body stand on end, feeling the imminent danger of death. He started digging himself into the snow.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Alexei also. Means they're effed. Pizdiets. Alexei, it's our Puniti now. I'm besides myself, seriously. Hopefully Alexei survives.
Surprising his rope partner in death. He started digging himself into the snow, surprising his rope partner. In just a second, Scott also realized what was happening. But it was too late. A wall of snow was moving toward them. Ed managed to hide in a small cave he dug, and Scott was hit by the avalanche and got carried downward. The rope between them got strung, and Ed got yanked out of his hideaway and tugged along the slope in the same direction. He grabbed his pickaxe and drove it as deep as it went, hoping to stop the sliding, and he succeeded. Now, the two mountaineers supposed to save others were hanging a few meters from the abyss. It was a moment.
Man, I wonder if that's a scene from that movie Vertical Limit from like 2000. The year 2000.
Of pure horror. And no one thought that Ed and Scott would be okay. They got up, dusted themselves off, and resumed their ascent. But when they met Thor and Chantel, the two seemed to be about to die. It took 2 long and challenging days to transport them to Camp 1. Surprisingly, by the end of the descent, Chantel's condition improved so much that she could walk by herself. She was welcomed like a heroine and basked in male attention, telling everyone about conquering the peak and how much her eyes hurt. And that was it. Thor was shocked and, obviously, had an entirely different opinion on what had happened.
Oh my God, I gotta hear that one more time.
Surprisingly, by the end of the descent, Chantel's condition improved so much that she could walk by herself. She was welcomed like
Gosh, well, was she really as messed up as she said she was then, if she got better that fast?
a heroine and basked in male attention, telling everyone about conquering the peak and how much her eyes hurt. And that was it. Thor was shocked and, obviously, had an entirely different opinion on what had happened on the slope.
Oh my gosh. Isn't this like kind of like a metaphor for like our entire like society and culture? You know what I mean? Like, there's just something about this video on the mountain and this situation that just seems like it's not just about the mountain and their situation. Like this is just pervasive. Welcome like a heroine. Oh my hell. Chantel girl boss. Cornea burn takes a while to heal. I'm not buying it.
Chantal wouldn't have got down without me, for sure. I don't believe she would have made it.
Alexei also added a bit of criticism to this story. He claimed that Chantel hadn't actually reached the peak.
Oh my gosh.
However, she was still credited with that ascent.
Wow.
After this situation, the French lady was given the nickname Black Widow.
Ooh, Black Widow.
Do you have the stomach
Mm-hmm.
to watch a girl that you really love?
There it is. There's that smile.
Do you have the stomach to watch some motherfucker that got more money than you, that's more handsome than you, that's built more better than you, fuck your bitch for a fee?
In the mountaineering community, as it became clear that she didn't care one bit about the deadly danger in which she put the men she manipulated. It also seemed like she
Yeah, I think Alexei he seems like a rather objective, gentleman in this whole thing. Alexei bringing the truth. I believe Alexei brat moi. Man, I don't know what that means.
couldn't care less about all of the rules because after being given a fine for illegally switching her team, she tore the document to pieces and threw them in the official's face.
Wow.
Despite all this, Chantel continued enjoying colossal success and found the investment to fund all her subsequent climbs. She had a few unsuccessful attempts at conquering Mount Everest, and in 1995, she tried again as a part of a group organized by a mountaineering
Oh, no, not okay. What happened with Rob?
legend, Rob Hall. He was a member of the Order of the British Empire for his rock climbing achievements and had summited Everest 5 times, which was a record at the time. However, Chantel's expedition with him turned into another scandal.
Of course it did. Of course. See if this British guy was savvy enough to avoid her traps.
She ended up being the slowest member of the group and held up others. When they reached an altitude of 8,750 meters, her lips went blue and her eyes started unfocusing. Rob said she had to return to the camp. Having no energy to answer, she nodded, turned around, and fell unconscious after walking several meters.
Now the whole team's got to sit there and be like, okay, what do we do about this?
And again, an entire group of mountaineers had to risk their own lives
There
to
it
get
is.
Chantel down. Among them were the expedition's leader, Rob, and Ed Viesters, who was saving the woman's life for the second time. And just
Wow.
like before, she came round very quickly and, on the very next day, was already having fun at the camp. As if
Oh my God, is that not crazy? Is this not crazy?
They played us like a damn fiddle!
nothing had happened. Furious
Like
with
nothing
such
had
very
happened.
next day was already having fun at the camp as if nothing had happened. Furious with such irresponsibility and ungratefulness, Paul said that from that moment, Chantel would be banned from joining his expeditions. He never found out that in this way, he'd saved her life again. The following year, he led another group to Mount Everest, and at the very same time, Chantel was trying to conquer a neighboring peak named Lhotse, which had never been summited by a woman at the time. However, a horrific storm hit the Himalayas. Most mountaineers stopped their ascent and managed to hide from the brutal force of nature.
Having fun at the camp.
But Rob Hall and Scott Fisher weren't saved. They lost their lives when the storm hit the Himalayas. Most mountaineers stopped their ascent and managed to hide from the brutal force of nature. But Rob Hall and Scott Fisher weren't saved. They lost their lives on Mount Everest that day.
Man.
Unaware of this, Chantel descended to the camp and claimed she'd conquered Lhotse. But because she was alone, had no proof, and enjoyed a bad reputation, a lot of mountaineers didn't believe her words. And even with everything we know about Chantel Madouy, the ending of her story is still too unexpected. In 1998, Chantel and her Sherpa friend named Ung Shring.
Oh man, now Ung Shring is dealing with it.
Were staying at Camp 2 on a mountain.
Yeah, rest in peace. They seem like some decent fellows.
Called Dao Laghiri. An Italian climbing team warned her about a dangerous crevice higher on the route and left. Chantel thanked them and zipped her tent closed. 5 days later, when the Italians returned, they saw Chantel and Ung Shring's tent in the same spot, half buried in the snow. When they dug the tent out, both mountaineers inside it turned out to be dead.
Wow.
Chantel had a broken neck, and the Sherpa had suffocated. They were thought to have been crushed by an ice rock, but no one has seen it and can attest to that. It's unknown what actually happened to Chantel. However, most climbers that had known her weren't shocked at all.
Do you expect me to say, you want me to tell you in front of the camera I was expecting her to die? Yes.
She disregarded her own safety and the lives of those around her. She behaved as though the rules didn't apply to her, and mountains don't forgive those who underestimate them. So, who was Chantel Madouy really? A black widow? Or a talented mountaineer yearning for absolute freedom?
Wow. Yeah, so that was a pretty crazy story. You know, I enjoyed that. Let's see what's going on with the comments. All right, I climbed the mountain, in quotes. Makes men carry her bags, other people have to carry her stuff, doesn't care about anyone around her, slows the whole team, doesn't acknowledge people who saved her. Guys around her were such simps. Yeah, I mean, there ain't no way around that. There ain't no way around that. She belongs to the mountains. She belongs to the mountains. Honestly, it sounded like Chantel wasn't a good person to begin with. Pretty awful how she used every single dude she was around with. Yeah. Saved myself a million times just by staying at home. Chantel reminds me of the girl in group projects that only adds her name after everyone did the work. Thor must have never seen a woman before. Oh, man. We have a Chantel in every office. Enjoying lavish perks and praise for minor tasks. Maybe the night shift is often hard. Simping is deadly. Yes, it is. Don't be a simp, guys. Thank you, Mufasa777. Carrying a toy duck instead. I don't find her that attractive, but maybe she's attractive because she's approachable, always smiling. This is from Lover of Arts and Music. I thought that said Lover of Farts, but okay. She literally slept her way to the top. All right. All right. In these desolate places, you don't need to look all too good to be attractive. Thor, the mightiest of all simps. Oh, I feel bad upvoting that, but I mean, it's pretty bad. A narcissist and manipulator, met a few in my time, but never fell for them. My self-esteem is too high. Well, that's a good point, too, about the self-esteem and in terms of being susceptible to those folks. You know, I can't even say the same. No matter how alluring or irresistible she is, someone somewhere is sick of her BS. Yeah. I was still dazzled by it all the next day as I wrote in my diary. How could I refuse such a beautiful woman? Anyway, it was a fun night and she reluctantly left at 5 a.m. Whew, what a gorgeous woman. Ed Viesters. This is the other guy I think she was having the affair with. I think. Met a lot of women doing the same in Nepal. From Sherpa to new lover to new simp. All the way to the top. $0 spent and so many lovers to count. Simps' lives matter. Wow. You know, I can see that. I can see that being the case. You know, especially with that. And that's all part of the industry over there too, you know. Any responsible group leader of a climbing expedition shouldn't have allowed her gear to be carried by anyone else. Broken in every way is wild. Queen of the Mountain Simps would be a better title. Guys are just born to simp. Can't believe these guys got played for her over and over. Her skills were nowhere near the men that she spent time with. That is why she used them to the fullest extent. I'm glad I grew up with 3 brothers. I wasn't daddy's little girl. We all carried our own weight and taught to be responsible for ourselves. She's dead for good, but took away an innocent Sherpa's life. Those men allowing themselves to be used is the problem. She belongs to the peaks. If she couldn't carry her own stuff, she wasn't skilled. She was a pretender. Horrible woman. What a selfish climber, just using everyone to literally climb her way to the top. Yeah, a selfish woman died and was just remembered as a burden, free or controlled by greed. One thing's for sure, Mother Nature does not discriminate nor show mercy to a fool. It never said thank you to nobody who helped her and saved her life. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty bad. Let me check the chats real quick. Press 1 to doubt she's a complete fraud. Maybe the Sherpa got wise to her, finished it, then died from oxygen deprivation. Yes, I mean, it does seem very suspicious. Like, and they didn't really find the rocks that crushed them. Maybe something happened there. Broken neck, I wonder why. Yeah, freedom on the back of simps, perhaps. Well, dudes, comment about the environment. It is a real thing. There's a reason there's a term deployment queen. Deployment queen. That's my first hearing of that. Man, you're dropping some real interesting like tidbits of info in there. Deployment queen. Simps lives matter. Oh man. Based commenters. Yeah, I'm glad the commenters were able to see that. Oh my gosh, what just a crazy thing. Like, that whole thing is just insane. I'll probably be calling it now, y'all, just to get some sleep, and I got a full weekend ahead of me. Sorry we couldn't do Saturday. But you know, I'm glad we did Friday, man. I think the turnout was great, man. Thanks for the folks who came out tonight and hung out on a Friday. So I appreciate that, man. What a story. That mountain video was crazy. I just hope and pray that if any of us run into somebody like that, we have the strength to be like, be gone. Stay away from me. I don't like you and I don't know you. You know, something like that. Go away. You are not allowed here. Just any of those phrases. Just stay that. And then immediately watch Don Tavius say, you got to stay gaming. Don't focus on... You know, we're going to play that one more time.
Hey, yo, Don Tavius.
Yeah.
What's today's quote of the day?
You gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
Exactly. Thank you, Don Tavius. Thank you, Don Tavius. See? That was heavy. It was pretty heavy. Deployment queen is a lady that gets all the attention, even though she's not that good looking. Back home, it could be a 3 or a 4. Wow. But gets all the attention deployed as if she were an 8 or 10. Man, that must be on another level, because it's like you're facing such a danger and, you know, anything can happen at any time. And yeah, there's this one woman over here. It's just, oh my gosh. Man. What a crazy thing. It kind of makes you think about the question. I mean, should men and women be on the same squads or whatever in the military? That's something. Hope everyone had a good week, man. I'm grateful it's Friday. I can't wait to just chill, watch a little CRT, unwind. Tomorrow I got a long day, do some work, hang out at that birthday dinner. Then Sunday I got some stuff going on too. Hope everybody's gonna have a great weekend though. And thanks everybody for participating, and thanks everybody for the super chats. Appreciate that. Stop, don't touch me there. That is a no-no square. Exactly. Yeah, that's another one. Just be like, nope. I don't know you. I don't like you. Oh my gosh. Do you have the stomach? Do you have the stomach? W stream. I left a joke in the Discord. Let me check that out. Do you have the stomach? I'm playing it. Real quick. Let's see what Mr. Pitt put for us in here.
But the problem is men, we're so enamored by the physical nature of a woman
Oh,
that
gosh.
we don't even start asking nothing else. We're just looking at the booty, we're looking at the breast, we're looking at her neck, we're looking at her feet, we're looking at her...
Nah, I ain't looking at no feet. Man, ain't nobody looking
Man, it's crazy how long Coach had that sound effect, and it's crazy to think what happened to this guy.
You're looking at feet?
Well, we found out what he was what he was doing.
Looking at feet.
What a great freaking...
I'm looking at feet.
So let me ask you a question.
That we don't even start asking nothing else. We're just looking at the booty, we're looking at the breast, we're looking at her neck, we're looking at her feet, we're looking at her...
Nah, I ain't looking at no feet. Man, ain't nobody looking at no feet.
You're looking at feet? I'm looking at feet.
I'm with that guy. I'm looking at the feet too. But yeah, oh my God, that's such a funny sound effect. Man, it's crazy to think what happened to him, like that whole lawsuit thing, the ESPN got rid, just cut the deal, man. 2 jokes, actually, yeah. Well, she didn't actually have a dowry. No, she did not. One more time.
Dowry. It's my right.
No, she did not. Wasn't worth it, was it? No, it was not. W Stream, have a good night, Shah. Thank you, Trevor, man. I appreciate you being here and everything, the super chats, man. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Is that Kirk Franklin? I actually don't know. Oh my gosh, man. It is a long week. I'm not sure when the collab that I did last week's gonna get posted. I think it might be this Monday. I'll put it in the Discord though. I'll put it in the Discord when it gets posted. So at the very least, there'll be some more content there. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. I'm looking at the feet. Shout out, Mad Villainy. Yeah, you're a good company, man. Don't worry. Yeah, that's Kirk. Heck yeah. All right, legends. Salute to you all. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed the stream and had a good time. Luke Nielsen says, dude, have a good day and such this weekend. Get rested up too. I need it, man. I can't wait to sleep tonight, man. It's going to be great. Shout out to everybody, man. We'll see y'all on the next one, man. I'll try to get some more stuff posted this week. Definitely next Saturday, we'll get some stuff